Welcome to the podcast. Just to preface this, I'm not going to do a tip this week. It's not my Finance Day, whatever episode is, I should say. Yeah, I've not been feeling well, and to be honest, I don't feel like it at the moment. For some reason I feel like I'm in depression though, because of this track, Transformers Devastation, Starscream. It's weird, the soundtrack doesn't exactly have a sort of linear naming style. There's one thing I noticed when I was trying to find the soundtrack before, was there's no actual way to find the individual tracks, and so you're relying on basically random YouTubers. And I sort of did a bit of research into it and thinking, and I sort of realised that even with the lack of explanation there, I think it's literally based on stems. And for anyone who doesn't know what stems are, in a video game soundtracks, it's when you layer things up. I think it's how it works anyway. But the entire soundtrack, from what I could tell, is basically composed of that. So from area to area you get different stems. I mean, you can mix like something like the rhythm of, I don't know, Starscream with the melody of Shockwave's track. And it sort of works, because they're all in the sort of same key. I think they're in the same scale as far as I could tell. But it's just so fascinating, like holy crap, that is a great detail. Like, that is amazing. Yeah, I love this track, Starscream, assuming that is the actual name. It's always been one of my favourites. Just really works for what it is. It's chaotic, it's also got this moment of epicness. Even though Starscream isn't exactly epic, it's interesting. Yeah, well, there's not much to say about it really, but you can tell it's a genuine guitar as well. You can hear the individual pick scrapes and stuff, and the timing issues even. That's actually a timing issue in the melody. That's fine, that's what makes it unique. Yeah, I love the Transformers Devastation soundtrack, it's so good. If you're metalhead, it's pretty much heaven. Because there's so many epic things, if you're a fan of Transformers, it's like, oh my god, double amazing. But the impression I wanted to do, which I'm not sure about, is for some reason this fucking weird random scenario with a Starscream. Because it's so fucking goofy. It's a bit edgy, to be honest. I don't know. I had a scenario, but I can't remember now. You know, Starscream impression is always quite easy. It's kind of like a almost squeaky voice. Not squeaky like mine, but squeaky in a different way. I can't really do it. It's my voice doesn't have that range, which is interesting. Megatron! No, that doesn't work. As I said, I can't do it. Probably do like Megatron or something, but I don't know. Man, it was a fucking weird game though. I have to say that. I didn't enjoy it. It was just weird. I think it was partly to do with the difficulty of it, even though it wasn't technically that difficult. I just didn't really get along with it. There's something off with it to me. So I don't really know what happened there. I remember I found it because of a NerdCube video. I don't watch the guy anymore. I'm pretty sure he's been in some controversies, I'm not sure actually. Yeah, that's actually where I found the game from. And played it myself, obviously. It definitely has some good graphics, and I fucking love the retro Transformers stuff. You know, I remember playing the Transformers games on Xbox 360, like Fall of Cybertron, which is actually really good too. Not Fall of Cybertron, War of Cybertron, and then it was Fall of Cybertron on the PS3, which I played later. Yeah, it is quite fascinating, and then there's also the two modern games, Revenge of the Fallen, which was crap, and what was the other one? Oh, there was like a third movie / game, wasn't there? But I played the third one as well. But yeah, it wasn't as good, I don't think. Fall of Cybertron was definitely, I think, peak Transformers, both in the multiplayer aspect and the single player, from what I can remember. Yeah, Transformers seems to be quite lost at this point. Almost like lost media, I guess. I remember the anime being quite surprisingly good at times, anyway. But it was following a hero versus bad guy story, which kind of, doesn't really age well when you think about it, because everyone was doing that. It's interesting. Yeah, I think it's a great series though. Honestly, I'm surprised that most of the newer generation doesn't really get on board with it. Quite frankly, it's fucking genius. Yeah, the idea of sentient transforming fucking cars, it's like two gimmicks in one. Sentient cars, sentient transform, things like what the fuck. It's just crazy. And it was obviously like I guess you could call it like a Hasbro thing. Like, it's appealing to kids and stuff. Obviously, with the fact it is like cars and planes and stuff. Did we ever get a trains transformer? I think there's probably one out there anyway. Given that there's a fucking motorcycle transformer who, unfortunately, has been a Rule 34. What? Don't ask me how I know. Yeah. Gotta keep all up. Anyway, it's definitely a series, but this soundtrack is definitely absolutely goated. It's so fucking good. I'm genuinely surprised people don't talk about it more or use it. For that matter, like, where the fuck are they using? Like, it's so good. Literally, it's a hidden gem. Very much. So yeah, that's the intro. I better move on. Better drive on. Well, first topic for this episode, not a fun one, so obviously sit back and get uncomfortable. Maybe sit forward. Who knows? Anyway, I want to talk about an issue that I definitely had come to mind because of the nature of the topic itself. Again, it's not a comfortable one because it relates to an abusive housemate in my last living situation. And the reason why he's so problematic is in terms of the trauma he caused me and the lack of repercussions for that. I am left vulnerable, and because there's essentially been no justice or even explanation at the very least, I'm just here believing that the police have let me down, the landlords, the support network and many other things are just letting me down. Which is frustrating as hell, and people might say that even years on from now, which technically has been over a year since I left that place and left that cunt. And people might say, like, why don't you just let it go? Why can't you just let the past be the past? Because he gets away with too many things. And I'm going to say them now. He fakes being a vegan, so he's a liar. He had multiple girlfriends, which I no doubt he cheated on them with other ones. He was in a relationship previously, in a marriage for that matter, for over a decade apparently. So, these are only some of the red flags, but there are others. He has a daughter, just fucking crazy, who lives hundreds of miles away, and for some reason he chose to stay where we were living rather than hundreds of miles away that the daughter was at. Which is just what? Like, it's fucking absolutely stupid and insane. Just one of those things alone. But there are other things as well. The other thing is he stole from me. He stole from my other housemate and also extorted him as well. I was lucky to not be touched because I'm pretty sure he was scared of me actually. That's kind of the thing. People were scared of me just because of my intelligence and my build. Like, literally two of the things that people can't really tap into. It's just interesting. Trying to film the other things. Did I say he steals? Yeah, he stole, yeah. It's interesting. So I just found a site in game here. get distracted. I don't want to do something. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else he did. He's just done bad things in general. Played loud music, bought over random fucking people, which made me feel really uncomfortable. They bought a fucking massage person, which is a bit suspicious. Like, what the fuck? He also seemed to lie about his acrophobia, which is weird, because he definitely didn't show that. Because he used to hang outside and for some reason chat to women who passed by, which says a lot about the type of person he is. It's just really fucking uncomfortable for not just the house in general, but people who walked past, and I did notice that less people walked past because of his fucking behaviour. Because it's just so shitty. Like, are you kidding me? It's just crazy. So, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense when you really think about it. Stuff this guy was doing, got away with, and then obviously later on he started bullying me, started harassing me, started to try and make arguments with everyone, also traumatised me as a result. There's so many things he got away with which is just so fucking disgusting. You know, the death threats being some of the worst, and I still have the recordings. When I reported him to the police and tried to get someone to investigate it, the police ignored it. They said, we'll have a chat with him. What did that chat do? Nothing. Instead, he doubled down and made more noise and more troubles for me. Started to become a really fucking big problem. And then when I fought back, you know, one of the ways I did it is I yanked out the cord to his speaker system, which is loud as fuck. And he got pissed at me. I didn't break it, I just put it somewhere else. And he threatened to kill me. He said I should kill myself, actually. That's the more I could tell me. That's why he actually said I should kill myself. And then he found it. It's like, what? It's just so fucking absolutely insane. It just doesn't make any sense looking back on it, like how he got away with this stuff. And apparently after I left, I don't know if it's true, but I heard somewhere, I think he got arrested, so I don't know what the fuck is going on there. But the fact that nothing was done about this is proof of a few things. This is why I won't let it down. One, it proves that people can get away with evil shit like this, and it shouldn't be able to because it's literally terrorism. Two, it's ableism, because not only was my housemate essentially abusing me in that area, he was also abusing the system, as in the police would do nothing to address it. So there was essentially discrimination there. And I'm pretty sure I could actually sue the police that are involved in this for discrimination, because they literally did nothing to address this problem. So there's another big problem there. You know, I could literally go to court with the housemate as well, because frankly this is fucking stupid. Why is nothing done? It's not that I want to ruin his life. It's that he needs to get the fucking help, and he needs to stay the fuck away from me and my family and my life. And just get out the fuck out of the area as well. It's clear that he's kind of not welcome. And the way he's presenting himself as well, the family set actually as well. In my local area, it turns out he knew people here. And he knew a few people. I don't know how exactly he knew, but I remember I was talking on a social media platform with some of the local people and just trying to make friends and stuff. And he had made it there first, by no surprise, and hang out at the front. The fuck was that noise? Oh, I don't know what that was. It's just absolutely terrible, really. Again, I can't believe that he got away with this, and that's why I don't live it down. That's why I'm not letting it down. I'm going to keep the fucking recordings. I'm going to keep exposing him, keep mentioning him, because the shit shouldn't be tolerable. You know, it goes without saying that if I've ever done anything wrong, I should face the repercussions as well. At this point, I don't think I've done anything wrong. I can't think of anything that I have done wrong. You know, because I was also forced into hiding essentially and having anxiety around this shit. I was naturally closed up in my room because I just didn't want to face anyone. I was too depressed, I was too frustrated and just unable to do anything. So there was literally no way out of it. I literally had nothing to do, nothing I could do. So I don't even know at this point what the course of action should be. It's one frustration after another, it seems. Again, I wish things were done properly. Not just where I live, but the situation. And I've not even been given therapy for this. And that's the other thing, it seems to be a complete lack of fucking care. That actually can't function. So I don't know anymore. It really goes without saying. I just don't know anything at this point. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to say, but I don't know what to do. So that's it. Anyway, I want to move on, so let's do that. Another fucking topic. So, neurodivergent people are being accused of something like ChatGPT because for some reason we sound like ChatGPT. Semicolon. But I don't know why the fuck this is exactly. It seems to be an online exclusive thing where people who type a lot just sound like ChatGPT apparently. But that's the problem. Like, the thing is, people use ChatGPT to simplify things, and I don't support the idea of ChatGPT, just to be clear. I think it's absolute garbage, and nobody should support it because of problems like this. Because it does bleed into the real world, because we're almost nearing a complete AI, or a full AI as Stephen Hawking puts it. Pardon me, I was about to burp. Couldn't stop that. But this is kind of the problem. When people support products like ChatGPT, and yes, it is a fucking product, even if you're not paying for it, you are the customer, you're the audience, so you're giving it the attention and probably giving it revenue by clicking on it and mentioning it. So you're culpable for that. And the problem here is when people start to realise, oh, big fucking long sentences equal, for some reason, ChatGPT. And it's not good. Honestly, it's kind of horrific when you think about it. It's just so many things wrong with this. But again, it sort of ties into this argument that I'm obviously saying here. We shouldn't be using shit like this because of problems like this. Because believe it or not, yeah, you can have people that sound like ChatGPT or something. But that's kind of the problem. If ChatGPT didn't exist, we wouldn't fucking have this problem. We never used to have it. This is only a recent problem. And with the influx of social media and being fed an algorithm where you get biased information, and by the way, I recommend people clip and share what I'm about to say, obviously, pretty much what I've said before this. But when you get fed that stuff, you only get fed that. So when you're seeing a post that's saying, on TikTok, that's saying there's a commentator in the front of a camera saying, if you see posts like this, with this specific type of language, this paragraph of words, and this style, it's probably ChatGPT, or it's probably an AI bot. That's where the danger comes in. And it's a very real danger. So, yeah, so not quoting a TikToker anymore. But that's the sort of thing you see more commonly, and you'll start to see more and more shorts, more TikToks based on that exact thing. You'll see that claim constantly, and it basically won't be exhausted. And you want to know how I know that happens, by the way? I've been on TikTok for a good few weeks, I'd say now. Well, actually months, I'd say. But the big issue that I've noticed is I started watching it because of the politics. And it wasn't fun politics, to be clear. I don't think there's any fun politics anymore, actually. But that's all I get fed anymore. And it's been the case for a few months now, and it is fucking rotting my brain, literally. But it's so bad. But that's the problem there. Because I'm being fed that, I'm only being fed information related to this, where, in a political sense, there is a possible case where you have to acknowledge something like, I don't know, social justice or human rights, or even animal rights for that matter. So it cannot be ignored. There's a very real argument here of you can't just believe whatever the internet tells you. That's for sure. And within these spaces you need to be open-minded, otherwise you're susceptible to being wrong, and you're susceptible to pretty much adding to a problem, which is a terrible thing to do. So you need to be aware of this, quite simply. It's not excusable at this point, in all honesty. So this very much needs to be acknowledged. So there is literally no argument here about there being an objective way to identify a ChatGPT post or AI bot or something. There is no such thing at the moment. They certainly do exist. But if we're suddenly accusing everyone of this, you're not really doing anything. You know, it's pretty stupid as well, given that people can click on a profile. We're speaking like a Reddit case here. But people can click on the fucking profile, see a post history, see the type of language they use and how it differs, and determine, yeah, they're probably human. But no, for some reason people don't have the intelligence for this anymore, so I guess we're fucked. Hands up, we're fucked. Just found out a shocking secret about Valve games, and this one didn't surprise me, but at the same time it just kind of made me think, like, oh, how much of this have we actually probably like not noticed? So in Gary's mod there's this pretty weird model in the game where there seems to be the face of a burn victim or something, and it's not from Half-Life 2 from what I could tell, if ever it could have been. And the issue is, like, I'll go through some other things as well. There's like a child corpse as well. I'm not sure if this is related to the story in terms of where they found it and stuff. But it has a disturbing secret in the sense that these are based on, well, the first one actually is based on a real corpse, basically. A real burn victim. Which is fucking eerie as hell, given that the person is actually dead. And apparently it was from a mafia attack. And this is from a textbook, apparently, according to the video I found. Jesus Christ, like, no wonder that Valve stuff seems so eerie when I used to look at it. Because I used to get nightmares from from not only that corpse thing, but the mutation icon in Left 4 Dead 2. Because it always seems so realistic, and then looking at some of the other models in Half-Life 2, Gary's mods, and no doubt Left 4 Dead as well, you can see how sort of eerily realistic those are, and they're probably based on a similar thing, with a similar system in place. And that's come as a shock to me, because it's kind of, it goes into an ethical discussion, which is something else. Yeah, it's just so bizarre that even back then they're using real life source material to create this. And I'm not sure if it's the video that mentioned it or the comments, but it definitely is a source of PTSD because I've experienced this myself. I've had first-hand experience, not first-hand, fuck. No, I think a third-hand experience, if that's a thing. But basically, like, as I'm a viewer of that content, basically, there's plenty of not suitable for life content on the internet, and my first exposure to that was a strange group of twats, basically. Not even adult age yet, so it was creepy as fuck. So it wasn't great. And given that there was a small age gap between us anyway, it's kind of like, okay, they're kind of similar, but not that similar. But it turns out the stuff they're into is extremely disturbing, and there's literal goal videos, people getting killed, and it's just not great, really. Especially the other stuff that they're doing as well. But it's just one of those things where I was so traumatised by that, and I've seen an old lady die just of natural causes in a hospital bed, and seen a baby die of starvation, which is never fun. It was always sort of been there in my memories as a sort of nightmarish thing that I've been wanting to forget, but obviously I can't. But I use that to at least further my empathy and try to understand the situations rather than just get myself down about it. And I've went into it further to try and desensitise myself, and it did kind of work. But of course, that still has the consequences of PTSD and stuff. You just either start to disassociate, or you start to look at it and realise, like, oh, yeah, this is awful. And you start to panic, you get all sorts of symptoms. Yeah, I think there is such thing as a PTSD attack, if I'm not mistaken. It's very much a real thing. So, it is definitely concerning in my opinion. And the fact that it's using real people as the source material, like if I had, made artwork based on, what I've seen, like, I'm trying to think of the worst ones I've seen. I'd say it's possibly puppies burning to death. Some cunts burning them in a pole and then kicking them back in when they try to escape. Like one of the most horrific things I've ever fucking seen and heard, actually. There was another one which bothered me in terms of the human sense. There was a guy being essentially tortured with skin being peeled off and stuff, and being cut in multiple places besides the head and vital areas. But yeah, like using that as like a source material for making like a model in a game, it's like, that's extremely fucked. And, regardless of what the person done to deserve that, supposedly, it's still fucked either way. And you could actually make a Black Mirror episode off of this, like pretty much a game where it's like, oh my god, have you heard this game? It's so fucking realistic. And then you find out that the developers actually killed people to make it. Well, this is literally a perfect Black Mirror episode, in my opinion. Make it, please. It's so eerie, though. This is why you don't want to aim for that sort of realism. It's why games with that autistic style and just the iconic autistic styles, that's why they seem to do so well. That's why Minecraft is as popular as it is. It's not got really a bad bone in its body in terms of its art style, but Half-Life 2 and Garry's Mod, they're certainly up for question. Given this corpse thing, and given that the source was from a medical textbook where the victim was supposedly involved in the mafia and then tortured to death, supposedly. Yeah, it's extremely eerie. And I'm surprised they haven't pushed it out, really. That's the surprising thing. Yeah, because that's probably the right thing to do here. As much as it's very much cemented in media now, I think it's important to correct it, because, you know, that is kind of haunting, it's disrespectful. Yeah, I'm supposed to talk about the moral argument now, but using that material and stuff when you can't really get permission, that in itself is... I'm actually going to write down that Black Mirror idea. Sorry. I think it's too good to actually that up. Yeah, it's just not good on an ethical perspective, because it disrespects the person. It disrespects their lives and even their families, because let's not forget that even victims of hideous crimes no doubt had families, and those families could have cared about them, and they may not even know the full truth for that matter. So there's all sorts of horrific implications with that. That's why you never really ought to fucking use this as a source material. I also sort of argue this from other perspectives as well, like using someone's suffering in general, using just people as a fucking reference material. Like, Jesus Christ, like, what is wrong with you? It's kind of the problem. It's one of the things I've never liked about artwork, because even though you find talented artists, unfortunately, they don't learn from something that's basically learning a pattern, which is how I've taught myself to make artwork. They learn from tracing over people and then trying to copy that or something, or just one or the other, and it doesn't help, because as we can see with this sort of thing, you find out there's a really fucked up situation behind it, and as I said, like, it could be a Black Mirror episode. Yeah, a game does kill people. So yeah, I could call the episode Game Does Killing It. I like the description of hyper-realistic game where the game is so graphic and detailed that the players are going to get curious. And maybe they find out that the developers are nowhere to be seen. Yeah, it's like some of those things like that, yeah. So I'm not sure what to add to this. It's kind of really creepy, and I don't really have much else to say. It's such a bizarre scenario, though. Again, from an ethical perspective, it's not good. And the other thing I forgot to mention, I remember hearing that people at Naughty Dog, who made The Last of Us, for anyone wondering, they're famous for that anyway, they apparently looked at source materials involving not suitable for life, basically. And pretty much everyone there got traumatised by it, I think. It felt PTSD and an aversion to seeing that sort of thing. And it's sort of forced on them by management, I think. That they're forced to look at it, and that's a massive ethical concern. As much as I can make the argument that some exposure may be necessary to just stomach seeing it in the future, it's not great either way. It's not for everyone, obviously. Not everyone's going to handle it the same way, and it's definitely not good. I keep repeating that, but it's genuinely true. You don't want to be exposed to this shit, and if you can avoid seeing people die, that's a good thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. Anyway, I better hear all I think. I'm talking long enough. Yeah, that's stuff. So, with the release of The Simpsons and Fortnite, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about why I will never play it. And there's quite a few different reasons why. First of all, as a game, it does look fun. I have to say that. But the problem with it is the entire premise of it being a live service, when it used to be PvE, by the way, that's how it first started. But the entire premise of it being a live service when it constantly updates itself, adding new content every fucking however so often. It feels like every week at this point, there's something new. And they had things like musicians, character skins, gliders from what I could tell, pretty much I think there's vehicles as well. They had such a variety of content that it feels like almost the ultimate crossover. But that does come with a problem. And this problem, as I suspected, was true. Because I only looked at it today with essentially the release of the Simpsons update. I can't believe calling it a Simpsons update. I can't believe they did it to begin with. But yeah, it turns out there is actually FOMO in the game. And this is one of the things I was initially worried about with this kind of game like this. I wish I brought it up with the likes of like recent discussion with gambling games and Genshin Impacts for them, that's Hoyoverse games. How that FOMO ends up leading to gameplay consequences, and while you may not necessarily get that here in Fortnite, it most certainly exists in the collector sense, because people want to 100% things or collect everything naturally have that appeal to do that, and until you can actually control it, it becomes a big problem. I used to struggle with this myself. It used to happen in various games like TF2 for example. It happened in Overwatch to an extent, Overwatch 1 for the matter. And I'm pretty sure it happened in other games. I'm trying to think, CSGO maybe? Yeah, there's always this fear of missing out. And it's a big problem that plagues games at the moment. Because there is this massive worry when you go to a game and you see that, oh, it has nice skins or whatever. But then you find out that the ones that you want, the ones that you joined for, were suddenly disappearing. And that's a big problem here because, in the case of The Simpsons, I don't know if it's actually true, but Fortnite in general, basically they rotate the store from what I can find, and I think they make other battle passes inaccessible. I could be wrong about the battle pass, but I know the store one seems to be true because there are players confirming that there are aspects of the game that rotate to bring back other sort of, I guess, relevant stuff. Like, I don't know if it's a battle pass maybe, or if it's a store. It's actually hard to say. I genuinely don't know. But that's a really frustrating aspect to it. And I think for that reason I would never actually consider playing it. Because again, as much as it seems like it could be good fun, that aspect just turns me off right away. Like, fuck it hell. It's stupid because as much as they can do good things in that, I notice with the battle royale stuff, they can allow you to queue for a match if your squad's been wiped, which is good. Like, queue for a match right away. So just jumping into the action almost immediately. But I do not understand the logic behind why they have a rotating store to begin with. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You have tons of fucking crossovers, which by the way people will probably play the game for anyway. And you're now limiting them, limiting the customer base to whatever you decide should be on there. That's literally fear of missing out. Because you're only rotating it every so often. I don't know how long it rotates for. To be clear, it feels daily. It's still bad, but better than obviously weekly or monthly, for that matter. It's just so bad. Like, why are we doing this in 2025? Like, games are taking up, what, 300 gigabytes of space now? On a hard, not necessarily a hard drive, but a solid state drive. As people should be. And we can't even keep these fucking things in the game. Like, what? What are you doing? It's just always been my question. But I suppose that ties into another aspect that I might not necessarily enjoy about a game like Fortnite. I probably won't enjoy the Battle Royale because I've never actually played one. Yeah, the closest thing is probably like a Frontline in Final Fantasy 14 or a 64-player server in TF2, but it's not the same. But there's sort of, it's a really unappealing aspect that I cannot get used to. And no matter how many times I see it in games, it's just like, I don't care. It's one of the most boring things of these fucking games. The fact that it's a battle royale. And I said the gameplay could be fun, because it does look like it has good aspects, like the building thing, I suppose the grappling, the fast movement, the freedom movement, for that matter. And the gun gameplay can seem quite interesting at times. It becomes more of a match of strategy, because apparently they stopped bots in Fortnite by increasing the spread of weapons, so there's no such thing as an aimbot, which is definitely interesting. Yeah. So, I don't know what to add really. It really needs to be a different kind of game, I think. If it had like a TF2 style sort of thing where there's like the capture points, the payload or whatever, I might consider it. But until that happens and they address the FOMO aspects, I'm not really that willing. Like, for example, if I just go onto the site, like Fortnite site. Okay, here it is, free to play, of course. Gimmick thing, it's by Epic, there's tons of fucking content. Game collections, Jesus, K-pop Demon Hunters. It's a good game. They even have The Walking Dead. God, I didn't like that series, so I tried it as a kid and onto the family saw the premiere. We hated it. It's just too focused on the people. It's weird that they're using the zombies though. It doesn't seem very representative of it. We have different game collections, Rocket Racing, Fall Guys, Lego, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Jesus. There's a lot of that. They seem to have a lot of different genres too. Like feature collections, music party, platformer, survival, combat, driving, tycoon, role-playing, and battle royale. Like top-rated things, like what the fuck. This is also just overwhelming as hell. Like, I do not understand what this is, to be honest. So it doesn't really work. And what's this battle pass available now? Okay, it's just saying there are more. But you're not showing the content. Which is just what? Yeah, that's pretty shitty. What about the store? It's just today's shop. Right, what the fuck is this then? Got new Sims and stuff. Yeah, again, don't know what most of this is. It's not even labelled. Like, what's the... I know what a skateboard is, but what the fuck is Krusty's alarm clock? Squishy boarding is probably an emote. It's just the main thing, it's probably a song. Yeah, quick music, I don't know what the title threads are. Hoyoverse car bundle, don't know what that is exactly. Mobile tire car, what the fuck? It's just weird. Today's best sellers, I don't know what this is. The Spark, Carla bundle, 15 minutes kick time, Autumn shop. Seems to be an artist thing. Seems to be a collection. Also, how much is V-Bucks anyway? I've known about this for a while, the V-Bucks. Even a fucking heroic carrier, what the fuck? That's so bizarre, do you know more? Jesus Christ. Adidas? Like, what? So it's not only a fucking crossover, it's like a corporate thing as well. That makes me just feel put off it even more. What? What are these tracks? What the fuck? They have some of the worst modern tracks ever. Old Town Road has been a big critic of that track. It is literally terrible. There's nothing good about it at all. Which is a shame, because apparently the guy who made it is kind of a decent person. Even a Billie Eilish, what the fuck? What is this? How much is it called? Fast and Furious? Like, what is this stuff? Like, come on. There's way too much here. And they've even got gorillas, of course. Yeah, I remember hearing someone there in a stream I was watching recently. But how much is it? What's the fucking cost? You got collections for straight up money. Is there even? It's not even showing the fucking cost. So it's like obscuring the fact that it's greedy. Oh, it's purchase V-Bucks. My bad. So what was the collection? So the highest you can get is I think it's £100, 13,500 V-Bucks. And it's claiming the extra fucking amount on it. Bullshit. Yeah, that's illegal advertising, by the way. So you can't do that. But the bot bundle is 2,000, but they claim to have wiped the price down. By how much? Is that 3,600 it used to be? You can copy and paste it. 3,600 used to be, so it's been almost halved. It's like 40% off. And how much V-Bucks do you need for that? To spend? Yeah, that's fucking greedy. So it's like £23 for 2,800, but you need 200 to make up, so you need to go for the higher one. What the fuck? If you can't grind this in game, then there's a big problem. What the fuck? I'm just baffled by it. Like, this is why I don't want to touch it. And, you know, let's compare this to a great game. An actually really good game. Like Dear Atlantic. You go into that. The only microtransactions it has, because it is technically a microtransaction, even though it's not advertised, is the DLC packs with the additional customization. Which is fine, because the game is big and it's well made. I generally don't mind spending money on it. But I go into the game and to earn a lot of the items in the game, the customizations. You not only do it through gameplay, I mean the annoying RNG parts of it, but you do it through the season pass, and the season pass is free. But not only that, you can visit every season pass you want. Anyone. And every one of them. And the only FOMO aspect to me is the seasonal stuff, where they basically roll through it. So you get the Halloween update, you get the summer update, you get the Oktoberfest update. I'm pretty sure, is there a Valentine's Day one? I can't remember, but they have the anniversary one as well, which has, unfortunately, FOMO aspects. I wish they'd add the items back though, because it's kind of weird not to have that. It's like the only real, okay, you can miss out on this thing if you don't play already, which sucks. But it's not the worst thing really. In all honesty, there's worse parts of the game than that. And generally I can live without that. But yeah, these things roll back anyway, and I wish they'd technically be all year long, give players something to do. But yeah, there's like so much to the game, and the fact that you can revisit things and you can buy it with in-game currency. It's not microtransactions, by the way, it's literally you buy the game and you've got everything accessible, you don't need to pay anything else. That's a bargain. And that's what makes it so great. That's why I've got over 1,000 hours in it. And why I keep revisiting it every update, because you know, I think it's really important. Yeah, Easter and I think Christmas as well, Yuletide. Yuletide is actually fun because the elf mechanic, like look up the Yuletide elf, it's fucking goofy as hell. Yeah, seriously though, Fortnite is just not appealing compared to Deep Rock Galactic, and even though they are Deep Rock Galactic to Fortnite, which is interesting. I wonder what sort of deal they struck with that. It's interesting. Yeah, it's just kind of weird, and also it makes me wonder because of the licensing aspect of this. Like, how do they even address that? Because there is this other FOMO element that I'm pretty sure nobody's considered, which I've learned from Rocksmith. Another game which had a FOMO element, has rather, than maybe Rocksmith Plus. Because you have to license music, and you know they have to license property. And because Fortnite are licensing property, they have to pay a fee to keep it alive. However, some licenses don't last forever. And this could be for a few reasons, and again, based on what I know of it and what I figured out, should go without saying there. So, first one is a time limited license, where it's already agreed upon that the license expires. So, say you pay for a license, like, I don't know how much money it is, but it's probably nearly a stupid amount. Or maybe a cut of the revenue, rather. But you pay that for a 10-year license. And when the 10 years is up, you remove that from either the game or the store or both. That's per an agreement. So these things are already figured out in the legal sense. So if that happens in Fortnite, say with, I don't know, say Mariah Carey expires, wouldn't that be a shame? I mean the song, Mariah Carey herself. Imagine if that expires. Then you've got a problem on your hand, because the people who own it might have it removed from the game themselves, from their account, but also removed permanently from the game itself. So it's not even sold anymore. So people might still have it, but it's not sold. So that's the licensing hellscape, basically, because it expires. Now let's imagine a scenario where the license is permanent, but suddenly the ones who agreed to it take issue. And suddenly we've got a new problem on our hands, which we haven't actually seen, technically speaking, in Rocksmith, but it could definitely happen, I think. Where a company maybe goes bankrupt, or maybe decides to pull out, then you've got a really big problem there. Because now you have to adjust the content, you have to stop selling it, and that becomes even more FOMO content. This is really bad for the game. But again, as I said, it could be all wrong, and it could stay, but it doesn't change the fact that the various elements of the game, and a game as big as this, is going to have problems. Yeah, that's why I'm not touching it. That's why I don't really like to watch it either. You know, I'm worried that the draw might be too strong in that sense. Because that will definitely come with some problems, for sure. So, I don't know. That's basically why I won't touch Fortnite. It's not surprising. So, yeah, I think I better move on. Got stuff to do. That's the other thing that's kind of weird about this, because that's the thing about the game that apparently gets it to basically stay alive. Is the thermal aspect. This is why games like Hoyoverse games are actually kind of staying alive themselves. It's because there is this promise that they'll bring back a character, and that will basically mean that it'll either draw in players, or it'll keep players playing until that character comes back, regardless of what point they're at. And it's like saying, oh, I quit Genshin Impact in, I don't know, 5.4 I think it was, and any character released at that point that suddenly became meta, if I come back to the game, that'll be a character I want, because it's quite strong. And so they prey on that to bring back a rerun and essentially increase their revenue. as a result, because they also prey on the fact that they've compromised the game, making it a grind fest with other aspects that you have to pay for the battle pass and stuff, and the working. This is the other thing. Also, the fact you can gamble for the character and fail, and then have to pay for the actual gambling mechanic itself using the crystals. So that's how that works. Again, it preys on those vulnerabilities. Like, oh, I really need this character. Actually, Conquestora is a better example. Casterus, who added a, before I quit the game, global passive. He added this as a mechanic, and it affected the entire account. Rather than in the party with the character there, no, it affected the entire account, and it gave you a free revive, which in the end game is extremely fucking broken. And players tested it, and it was broken. So that's a huge issue, and if I come back to that game after having quit, suddenly that's on my priority list of games that mean characters that I need to get. Because it's so crucial to the account and the meta to even get by in the fucking endgame and even story in some aspects. That literally preys on me. That's literally exploiting a FOMO aspect, and you can't even complete the game without these characters. And when I say complete the game, I mean fucking play it all. Complete the endgame content like Memory of Chaos, Apocalyptic Shadow, and whatever the other fucking one was. I can't remember what it was in the end, I don't know. But it's just such a clusterfuck. That's why it's so bad. That's why nobody likes it. Because it all relied on the most relevant characters at that time. And even some that were old that are taking forever to even come back around. So it became a joke to me, and that's really when I realised that with the Casterus thing, as an aside, as this is really as an aside actually, but the Casterus thing was not the thing that brought the accounts back, but realising that afterwards I'll need to basically wait for Casterus to even play the game again. It's more than enough proof I need to never fucking touch a Hoyoverse game ever again, let alone a gacha game. Because that's the very thing that screws people over and fucks the game up. It puts a massive turd in the game. And that's pretty much an undeniable aspect. So you can imagine this sort of thing with the cosmetics in Fortnite. Like, yeah, if they rotate it every so often, and give no like time frame or even timeline, then people are going to fucking think that you're purposely creating FOMO, and it literally is fear of missing out. Because you're rotating these with no promise of bringing them back, which we've had that problem in Hoyoverse games a lot. And players are going to panic and buy. That's exploitative behaviour. There's nothing to do with impulse control with players, because there's different scenarios leading to that. I know with my anxiety and depression, and autism for that matter, I feel preyed upon myself when I see shit like that. And that's why I don't play that. That's what's stopping me from playing it again, ever. Literally. Because I know that aspect is being preyed upon. And many other people don't even realise it, but they have this problem too. You know, there's no impulse control. When you see a YouTuber pulling for a Constellation 6 character, it's a massive problem. Because they're also not in control of their behaviour there. There's no reason to do this other than clicks on YouTube. But even then, that's very much a problem of ethics. Because it sort of encourages others to do the same, again, for clicks. And people are fucking obsessed with these fucking, like, gambling videos. They're literally gambling videos. Let's not fucking kid ourselves. They're paying real money to get these characters, and that in itself is a shameful thing. I've gone back and forth about it. And from an entertainment perspective, I don't diss it. and I don't dislike it. But when it comes to the ethical side of it, and the implications, it's not a good thing at all. And, you see all these fucking fake reactions like, oh my god, I skipped the 50-50 and got five stars and it's poor. It's like, Jesus Christ, that is literally manipulative. And that's really the irony there. It reminds me of this CoffeeZilla video that I actually watched earlier today about the online gambling epidemic. Essentially what it is, it's manipulative marketing. That's what CoffeeZilla concluded on this topic. And that's what's happening there. And it's what's happening on Fortnite as well. You're essentially gambling in a different way, you're gambling with time. And even then it costs fucking tons of money to even get the things you want. If there's no way to grind it in the game, then, oh Jesus Christ, that's bad. And this is the other problem with games like this. It has to be said. The problem with Fortnite, as well as Genshin Impact, the problem with the gambling is you can't just straight up buy things in Genshin. And even then, if you could straight up buy things, it needs to be fairly priced, which is where Fortnite comes into it, where you can't actually get something fairly priced. So we have another issue here of a massive wealth inequality, which is what it is, because that's what's affecting people's lives at the moment with the cost of living crisis, and that's why parents can't pay for their fucking child's V-Bucks. And because of that disparity in between them, there's going to be a lot more misery. And I can almost guarantee you that you'll see, and have seen, an influx of cheaters and hackers in games like Fortnite and even Genshin Impact. Because that's what it does to you. That's what greed does to fucking people. Seriously, if you don't believe me, do the research. Because that is exactly what it's doing. And it wouldn't surprise me, and it should go without saying, but I would actually go and play Fortnite right now if I could just hack into it. If I can unlock all the things I want with a hack, then yeah, I'll do it. I'm not even fucking joking. I don't care if it breaks terms of service, I don't even care if it's fucking illegal. Piss off. Make it fairly priced, or fuck off. Yeah, that's the premise here. That's going to be really hard to argue against in court, by the way. Because yeah, you look at the amount of money I get in income, the amount I pay to bills, the amount I pay to groceries and rent, and you'll see that the amount that I get to spend freely is not actually that much. And given the amount of things I do need to get by, again, these prices for what are essentially skins that basically mean nothing in Fortnite, they're absurdly priced. Like, to get the bot skin, like, to reiterate that, I'm pretty sure it was 2,800 V-Bucks for £29, and that's got me in so many different ways. So the bot skin costs 1,500 V-Bucks, you get 2,800 V-Bucks from that. So that's about £15 per skin. Yeah, that's not good. That's still too expensive. Especially given the broad scope of a game like Fortnite. And once I have to admit, it's probably more generous than Genshin Impact. From a gambling perspective, and even from a hypothetical perspective, where if they added straight up microtransactions, which I have with skins anyway, of their own, then in a Fortnite sphere, it doesn't make it more. It's not ethical. So again, it's a much bigger problem than just FOMO. It's also the fairness, the pricing. And the only reason that I'd, again, cheat in a game like Genshin Impact or Conquest Star Rail or Fortnite at this point is so that I can get the things I want. Not the things that necessarily needs. Like, I'll just pay for a price to access everything if it's a subscription. That'll be a good compromise. I'd be happy with that for either game, and even if it's like almost like a AAA game price, like I don't know, £30, let's say. It's kind of fair to an extent, a bit high, but still better than nothing. It's better than the current system, and I could definitely respect that, even though it's too highly priced. But access to everything for that price is reasonable. But then again, if it's too highly priced, I'd rather just fucking cheat everything in, as I said. In Genshin Impact, I would unlock all the characters. I'll go Star same thing. And in Fortnite, I'll unlock all the skins I want, but I won't use it to disrupt the gameplay. That's the only difference. There's going to be things that happen, unfortunately, as a result, and the only time I'd ever actually sort of do something like that is to actually disrupt the hackers themselves, the cheaters, I should say. I should really stop calling them hackers. It's a shitty fucking name. Literally an ego stroke. But yeah, literally only cheat in those games just to beat the hackers, essentially, beat the cheaters. Whether they're using aimbot or hack, whatever. I used to do that in GTA Online because I was fucking fed up in that game as well. Again, it's all like that goofy me. I'll fucking do it again. It just doesn't surprise me if people already do that though. They just tire people out with this bullshit. This arbitrary wall of pricing and again locking the content. And for collectors, it's no doubt more appealing to collect everything. And that in itself creates another problem. That's why most games are just seeming unappealing to me. When I look at the games I've got in my library, like how many of them will be a live service? Like Final Fantasies, nope. Hades, nope. Persona, nope. Persort, nope. East Games, nope. And what about the strong consideration to them? Alcohol, nope. Bills per minute, nope. Zero Galactic Survivor, nope. The Entropy Center, nope. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, nope. Iconi Islands, nope. Miku and the Witch's Mountain, nope. Talos Principle, nope. What's the common trend there? They're not live services. The only difference between, I guess, these other live services and Final Fantasy XIV is that Final Fantasy XIV is a fair game. Even though the microtransactions are a bit high here and there, it's still more favourable. And Team Fortress 2 has many problems. I admit the economy's terrible, but it's a fun as hell game. It's just undeniable. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I've pretty much covered everything there. There's just too many problems with a game like Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Starscream. Even Zenless Zone Zero, let's throw that out there. A game I haven't played, didn't want to anyway, because I knew it'd be too much. Doesn't have so much content, you just can't do anything anyway. So, that's where we're at with that, guys. Anyway, let's actually move on now to a different topic. My first game I saw. Please control and wondering why I acknowledge Fortnite at all. So, not so fun topic. YouTube and Adblockers. So, there never used to be a problem with this, but for some reason YouTube has decided it is a problem. Now, there are problems with using an adblocker on YouTube where it seems to make the video buffer, which is just really fucking stupid, because that doesn't even tell you what the issue is. It doesn't even give you a notification, it doesn't tell you anywhere on the screen that an adblocker is causing it. Even then, what's the fucking issue? Because there are completely unjustifiable tactics, not only just deployed by YouTube, but Twitch as well, for forcing ads on users. One of the worst things in Twitch was forcing an advert every time you stream hopped, And if you were the type of person like me, ADHD and burnt out, you would not want to fucking see an ad every time you jump stream, especially on the same stream you just left. So I don't know why they fucking do this, because it's stupid. You're just gonna lose your fucking viewer base and everything, you're gonna lose revenue from that. There's also the pre-roll ads, which are a problem, and I haven't really experienced it on YouTube for some reason. I've never really had buffering with that, but Twitch has always been annoying because it'll just show an ad randomly. And sometimes, like, I remember this actually quite vividly, but I used to watch streams where there wasn't mid-roll ads, and then Twitch would harass me for saying that I have an ad blocker, saying that ads were running, but there are no actual ads running because nobody is confirming it. Like, there wasn't a single ad running. Like, I disabled it to check. It was happening every 30 minutes. Guess what? There were no ads running after the 30 minutes, after the 45 minutes, even the hour. So they're doing this on purpose, which is just stupid, and it's abusive, because I'll go into the topic about why adverts are abusive anyway, and after I've talked about this, really. And the YouTube adblock system, well, the anti-adblocker, I guess, it's still bad. It's far better than what Twitch had, but it's still not great, because I'd rather just watch a video, like click on it and watch it. That's it, nothing in between, no gimmick, no fucking delay. That's just the optimal scenario, that's what it used to be. And with the entire fucking system, of how many broken systems YouTube has, honestly it makes no sense why you would increase the load in terms of support cases and in terms of, like, even TOS violations. Why the fuck would you increase the load by going after adverts? Adblockers, I mean. You should be going after adverts as well. Because Jesus Christ, the amount of stuff I've been recommended is actually creepy. It's not even stuff I've even said out loud. Like, what the fuck? I've not even typed it, that's the other thing. It's just so bizarre. There's obviously something creepy going on with this. And I don't really know the best solution, because adverts are invasive. I think no matter where you put them, it's just invasive, but I'd much rather they be off to the side and you can click an X to get rid of them. A big X, by the way, because a small X is basically abusive practice as well. And that's it. That's literally all it should be. Off to the side with an X button, so you can say, okay, I've seen that. That's it. The problem solved, and also you need regulations to avoid the very real problem that advertisers will utilise and make a fake X button. So that kind of shit doesn't really make any sense. I really don't know why they're doing this. And there never used to be a problem, and the revenue is still high. Like, about, if I look up, like, YouTube 2025 revenue. Let's see. Can't find it. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at for this. I guess I'm looking for like speculation or something for YouTube revenue over the front quarters, I guess. Q1, some billions apparently. Doesn't sound right. Apparently Q4 2024 is like 10,474 billion. What? What is this thing on about? That make fucking sense with your graph. Jesus Christ. That doesn't even make sense. What? I can't really find it. It's just bizarre. I'm pretty sure the revenue is down, because there's no way people are fucking buying into this crap. YouTube ad revenue consistently going down apparently on YouTube as creators though. So I don't know, it's hard to find. But there's going to be a problem obviously, because this is going to make users turn off the platform. And this is why users want to go elsewhere for this content. I'm not going to lie, I would consider it another option. You know, if there's another platform out there that does what YouTube does but better, I'll definitely consider it, because at this point it doesn't fucking matter. Like, every platform is fucked and compromised in their own way. You know, the reason why we have Blue Sky and Mastodon is because of Twitter's bullshit. I still consider it Twitter because that's when it was actually better. Like, at the moment it's absolute shithole. I didn't even use it. And even then I still recognise that Twitter was far better than X. So yeah, there's a reason why Blue Sky exists. Obviously because of that. But there's no doubt going to be an alternative to YouTube at some point, and in all honesty I hope it addresses a bigger problem of data centres and the lack of human involvement. Also it needs some big investment to get working, but it needs to be definitely eco-friendly and even human-friendly. Because again, YouTube fucking sucks at doing everything. Literally everything. Video quality, video compression, the entire systems around it, subscribe stuff, if you don't subscribe, there's so many fucking problems. The copyright system, automations, you can list a ton of issues that YouTube are just bad at. And it'd just be so fucking long. So it needs to be addressed, and if there is an alternative, obviously it needs to address these problems as well, so that they don't end up doing the same fucking thing, making it a shit platform. And you should never argue against advertisers. If anything, you should give people the option to choose what they fucking see and where. Problem solved. Like, come on. It's not hard to figure out, and given that YouTube is already fucking big enough as it is, getting enough revenue as it is, there's no excuse to not have this option. And the thing that I'm thinking of is to do with customization, and this is specifically to cater towards the user. For example, in my preferences, I don't want to share cookies or anything, that should be a given anyway. But I do not want to see ads before a video. I do not want to see ads in front of a video. And that should mean that I should be able to pick where the ad appears. So it could be below the video, but I have no problem. Because if I was scrolling to the comments, which I do sometimes, like, okay, it's in between the comments and the description, that's fine. I have no problem with that. And then we've got a deal. But not doing that is going to draw people away, because you're essentially giving them a one-way track, and people are going to fucking derail, literally. And I'm calling out now, but people are going to hack into YouTube at some point. It's my prediction. And the reason this is going to happen is because it's gone to so much shit that people are fed up. You know, even if you see the channels that are in my channel, I won't be fucking caring against. I'm pretty sure many other people won't as well. Even though it's very much people's livelihoods. The real problem here is that YouTube sucks. And it's just that it's so fucking bad that people just won't care in it. And people, not much like myself, will justify this sort of shit. Because it's so frustrating to see the platform that I also grew up with, by the way, just be fucking completely shat on by tone deafness and completely unnecessary systems and features, and the removal of some. Jesus Christ, the dislike button was never an issue. Because even though it can be healthy to sort of view a video without a dislike button, you can tell what a ratio is. Because that's a new problem that comes from that. But nobody had a problem with it. This wasn't something people were complaining about. This wasn't something that I was even bothered by when I used to see it. So, it again makes no sense. And it's very easy for YouTube to address these problems at the moment if they just fucking listened. You know, like what do I have to do? Do I have to get attention? Like, do I have to say like, there's a bomb threat? I don't know. Like, at this point, that seems to be the fucking only way. That's how dangerous the situation gets when you fuck over the people below you, and then the people start to rise up and fight back. You know, there could very well be a actual bomb threat, and that's the problem. People become untrustworthy of you, and then people become untrustworthy of each other because of how you treat them. It is an abusive practice to treat them the way that they're treating everyone now. And so there is going to be chaos sowed in between. Because people are fed up. We're already seeing this in real life. As I said, there's an NPC epidemic. And we're seeing that in the way where people just act like nobody is real. Because it's actually contributing to solipsism, and no doubt something like YouTube can add to that. Only because of its terrible systems. You know, if you run a big channel, like, I don't know, try not to throw a good channel under the bus, but I'm trying to think. Oh, I don't know, it's hard to say actually. There are definitely questionable channels out there, but I don't know, maybe a channel I just don't watch. Someone I don't like, maybe. I don't know, hypothetical, and again I'm not sure on this. Let's say a terrible channel like Isaac Butterfield, because he is a terrible channel. It's a very unfunny comedian who picks on vulnerable people and animals. So that's not fun. But let's use Isaac as an example. Let's say YouTube terminates, what the fuck? Got my words mixed up. Terminates his channel. Just for no reason, because of AI apparently, which is a recent thing by the way. Well, if you break someone like that, who's already kind of dodgy as it is, probably not all there mentally, then yeah, they might fucking act out on it. Because I'm not saying this could happen, but it probably will. If you do this to certain people. Like, they'll just go nuts, they'll start going to YouTube headquarters. I imagine Gamers Nexus will probably go there for a legal reason, obviously. They go to YouTube headquarters and start to do chaotic shit. You know, that can range from harassing employees to breaking into the building. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong with this. And it's something that I sort of hope happens anyway. Because it's deserved. You're fucking people over, and you give them the right to fuck you back. There's eye for an eye, literally. So it doesn't surprise me if it does happen. So yeah, as I said, preferences very important for adverts, because if we don't have this, it's gonna tear basically platforms apart. You know, as I said, like if Twitch had something like this, where I'd see an ad below the stream, I'd have no problem. You know, as long as I can get rid of it, get it out of the way, again an X button, maybe some people an ad in front of them, but with an X button. So you'll be able to stop the ad. Because you've already seen it, why do I need to see it even more? Genuine question. Advertisers need to answer that. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem. No doubt they'll be sued for it as well, because it's stupid to fucking force adverts like this on people. But this goes into another problem I need to talk about the nature of the adverts themselves, and about what they imply. I've already sort of touched briefly on the terribleness of how it's catered, and whilst that is very much a big problem in terms of whether it's cookies or sending data, whether your device is listening to you without your consent, by the way, which is a really gross thing. I really think they should be sued for that. There is a real issue with showing these types of adverts to users, because depending on the person, it can come across as very creepy and it adds to the mental health issues, which is why I hope this gets brought up in like European Parliament and probably the US as well, wherever it's relevant in politics. There's going to be a lot of consequences from forcing adverts on users, but not only that, the types of adverts, because it can be triggering. The problem is we see adverts that are completely unrelated sometimes, or just related but in a different way, but they're off-putting. So I've used the example of how an atheist channel, who consistently talks about religion, will have adverts like they're actually not their own, by the way. These are just advertisers who've somehow gone onto YouTube and become advertisers on there. But it'll show adverts from these advertisers who can have varying degrees of questionability and validity for that matter. And this comes across as like possibly like Scientology 2.0 or something, or just something extreme, like even no doubt like Islamic extremists, for example. And that could very well be advertised to people. And that's a very big problem, because now you're advertising something dangerous, which they've always done, by the way, and never done anything about. And you're causing problems for not just the world, but the platform itself. And that's why it's so disgusting. So that needs to be addressed, because it will get out of hand. As I said, it will lead people down very dangerous rabbit holes where people start to think like, oh, they've been injected with some sort of tracking device or brain reading device or something. Which, to be honest, it genuinely feels like I have at times, because I don't know how the fuck the adverts have even figured some of these things out, even though there's no pattern. If I go on there now, otherwise they're going to fucking show me. I can guarantee you it's not something I need. Let's see. It's music. It's not music actually. It's annoying. There's an annoying bug with YouTube on the phone where it'll just endlessly scroll. So what happened at mini stroke? I don't know. For some reason part of my body's gone limp even. Yeah, this advert makes no sense. But it's about hair. Unit's reddish brown body weight. What the fuck is that? I think it's a wig. And I've got a Temu advert, I don't even use that. Another Temu advert. Another wig? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? What is this even related to? That's just absurd. Makes zero sense. Yeah, that's the problem though. Because even then, if it's unrelated, people aren't really going to be that interested. It's going to be more useful. Especially if it's something they maybe need. It's not going to be very useful overall for the people. That's the problem with adverts. You know, if it tracks you too much, then it's going to cause problems, cause paranoia. Could probably cause schizophrenia as well. Let's not forget that. It should cause too many issues. And that's why I don't like where advertisers are heading. If they patent something that's, I don't know, like, let's say Neuralink, they specifically use people's thoughts or read them and project something into their heads, well, that's going to be a fucking problem. Literally a Black Mirror episode. As this already sort of is becoming anyway. And that will cause people to go insane. Because the moment you start getting these patterns out there and then basically forcing it on newborn children who have to grow up with that shit, we've got a very big problem on our hands. And frankly, I don't understand how governments can justify that. It's crazy. But again, there's too many consequences to having even personalised ads. It's better if they're not relevant. That's the thing that's unique with TV. When you watch adverts on there, at least, well, I don't really watch much TV anymore, you do get to see adverts you would otherwise not be interested in seeing. Sometimes they're interesting, sometimes they're entertaining. You don't always expect them. But the entire difference is that it's not personalised. And when TV adverts start to be personalised, people are going to struggle. They're going to have mental health problems because of this shit. You know, there's going to be triggers as well. Because there's no doubt a bunch of triggering things in there. Like, it depends, really. It could be trauma, it could be a bad memory, sometimes be a good memory. But it's just so terrible. Again, I don't understand how this sort of thing would be even allowed. Somehow they'll find a way to force it out there, force it on everyone. But again, that's a dangerous game to play because the consequence, other than people being miserable and there being less people alive because of that, there's going to be people who fight back. Sort of a fight or flight response, and I haven't really talked about it much actually in a mental health sense. Suicide is actually a flight response to me anyway. Because as I've been through a lot myself, you don't really have the fight to stay in the world. And that's for various different reasons. It's most likely because of technology fucking us over, as it has been for my life as well. It's going to be for other things too, not unrelated to technology. And when you have these triggers, then that's going to solidify that. You know, you're going to see an increase in mortality rates, and there'll be this unknown in other studies suddenly. I don't know, you may be studying, let's say, I don't know actually, I'm trying to think of a topic. Maybe diet, this is probably an easy one. But maybe you're studying diet, and suddenly, alongside this ads problem, you start to see an increase in mortality rate of people with this diet, and the study comes out, it says, oh, this diet basically says that you increase your mortality rate even though it's a completely healthy diet, it's completely balanced. And more studies come out saying the same thing, sort of like a Black Mirror episode actually, now I think about it. Another idea, I guess. But anyway, more comes out, there's the same problem, but we start to see a trend where even in the studies unrelated to diet, say medication or even gaming habits, you'll start to see a mortality rate increase. Why is that? Because this aspect of life that's been permanently changed, like say it's Neuralink causing it, is fucking people over completely. And so they're doomed to either kill themselves or be killed, essentially. And there's no way out of it. So that's why you find it, and there's no doubt going to be an increase in people being murdered because people are just going nuts because of this. This is why you don't play with God. This is why you don't advertise random shit to people that they don't want, don't need, and are not interested in. Like, again, there's ways to address it. But the further away you take it, like, the further you go with this sort of shit, they're currently doing like blocking Adblockers, which is just fucking insane. The worse the world is going to get. And you know, I shouldn't even be getting adverts on YouTube now, think about it. Because I'm using a VPN. So they're illegally basically forcing adverts on me without knowing my proper location. And they're probably violating many countries' laws here from doing that. So, yeah, YouTube just fucking itself again and again. And the only way I think this can even change is if there's a bigger fine, a bigger consequence. They'll definitely encourage enforcing some stricter rules and bigger fines. Because as it currently stands, there's not enough done to even address this sort of thing. I've talked long enough. It's a long, kind of boring topic at times. Yeah, I'm just annoyed at the ad situation, the fact that channels are now being terminated by AI. Great. Just the thing we needed. Fucking ridiculous. Are you kidding me? A strange discussion to have before I shit myself. So I literally need to go to the toilet. But I was bored last night and I was gonna read a book, but I was too tired and I started watching Twitch. And Pokemon channel streaming was the only thing that really sort of would interest me in a sense. But they're streaming a Pokemon anime, Pokemon Masters to be specific. I only saw one episode on there, but it reminded me that anime has really changed a lot in the years. It's like less jumpy, and I mean it's more jumpy now than it used to be, and also in terms of dubbing and stuff, you know, it's not as good. Even then the stories are not as good either. And this episode basically was Ash, Misty and Brock in Gen 2 Pokemon, I think it is. But they're basically going around places, I think, and they visited a station or somewhere. And Ash had this egg that he was keeping and looking after. But someone stole it. Which is already an interesting plot, actually. What would people want to do with an egg? You think like maybe Team Rocket, obviously. But that's not really where it gets interesting. It's when Officer Jenny arrives to investigate this. And even starting with how she fucking pulls up. It's like, it's brilliant. Because she's obviously driving like a maniac and almost scares everyone to death by like stopping right in front of them. Then she claims to be a detective, which everyone's surprised about. And obviously Brock is doing his usual getting down sort of thing, trying to win her over. Which is always hilarious, and he's like doing this for like minutes at a time. He even makes slip-ups, and then Jenny accuses him of stealing the egg. But she says like, okay, maybe I did, but wait, what am I saying? It's so good. Obviously, like further down the investigation, I think one of my favourite jokes on that actually is probably when they're investigating the doorknobs, I think, because they found like signs of a break-in, and they find out that someone obviously broke in there to do it, and suddenly Officer Jenny turns to Ash and says, "I think you did it." And Ash is like, "What? No." It's like so fucking stupid. Given that he's the one with the egg. He stole his own egg. It's just, oh my god. Yeah, the episode goes on, it has quite a few funny bits still. Yeah, really this goes into a discussion about what the fuck happened to Pokemon. Because it isn't just the games at this point. It's also the anime. Because even though I absolutely adored Gen 7, the Sun and Moon was actually decent, contrary to what people were actually saying about it before they even watched it. Saying that the animation style wasn't great, but they did that obviously to cut back. And they actually had really good animation, by the way, so that also didn't age well. But when it came to Gen 8, Sword and Shield, the anime had really fucking taken a bad turn. Literally almost unwatchable, even though it's responsible for one of my favourite episodes. That was because the episode wasn't written by the same company who usually writes Pokemon. It is actually a sponsor of all things, and it was funny as hell. Pretty sure it was like episode 27 or 26. I can't remember, but it's like so random and wacky. It's like the only episode in that I really laughed at. In all these, like, I think it was like 151 episodes or something. They were bonus episodes, I think, because of sort of ending the journey, but they didn't want to end it exactly, which is weird. Yeah, like, it really took a bad turn. It was obvious it's going to end, and I think part of it is probably to do with Ash's more serious nature, because he's obviously aiming for the top. Like, he's trying to become the actual Pokemon master. And he didn't catch them all, but he does fucking beat the overall champion. Just nuts. Whoops, spoilers. It doesn't really matter anyway, because he won in Gen 7, you probably pretty much predict what happens in Gen 8. Yeah, I was happy when they replaced Ash, because admittedly it's like beating a dead horse at this point. We've seen Ash for so long at this point. It was time for a change, and whilst I'm not overall that satisfied with Pokemon Horizons, it does feel like a slight improvement over Journeys. So yeah, I think what's responsible for this is most likely late stage capitalism. That's just my theory, because I can't really see any other way that they would fuck this up so badly other than late stage capitalism. And as is the culture in Japan anyway, with it being surrounded by this sort of thing, it sort of makes sense that that would be why. And obviously the cost of living now makes things a lot worse, and that's probably what was happening during Journeys, and that was actually during COVID if I'm not mistaken. So there was that issue, and I'm pretty sure they had to delay it a few times as well. Yeah, it's a shame that Pokemon has really fallen from that point of grace at that point. That used to be genuinely good, but now it's just, it's like a shadow. Its former self, I guess. I don't know what the phrase is. Either way, I better move on and eviscerate my bowels, so yeah, let's go. You know what's so disappointing about the left-leaning side of YouTube? It's that there is a lot of fucking clickbait. Like, literally it's everywhere. And it's always in the recommendations, but there's often this really fucking misleading thumbnail about a given topic, and then the topic's like, what, 20 minutes long? Like, people don't have the fucking time for that anymore, and especially not Republicans. Because if that's your target audience, well, you failed. Like, that's stupid. You're not putting things simply, you're not putting them in terms that they can understand. So you're not communicating to the side that you potentially want to communicate to. Even then, there are definitely people who are democratic who are not like that, who can't even take in the info. And there's different reasons why. ADHD, just a simple living situation, or maybe it's not simple if it's a struggle. But that's one of the big problems here. I genuinely can't understand what the logic is behind this, really. When I see that there's another Trump story in the US, right, the thumbnail says you need to watch this or something. Like, okay, that's already a bit suspicious, but the thumbnail itself is showing something that doesn't appear in the video. So there is a big problem there. Like, what the fuck gives? It really doesn't support your argument. Because the more you mislead people, the more people catch on to that and then basically use it against you and frame you. Because that's the exact shit that they're doing. Sink it to their lows. I don't think it helps anyone. I don't think it doesn't help Democrats. It probably won't help Republicans either, who you want to convert, obviously. So, this part of YouTube essentially needs to change, because I genuinely don't see how anyone will be clicking on these videos. It's kind of crazy. I've seen like creative ways of activism, which is like, there's this channel called the Lincoln Project, who obviously does US politics, but they make sort of skit videos about the US situations and stuff. And they made a video about Trump's ballroom recently, about how it's literally in memory of Jeffrey Epstein, which is fucking amazing. That's hilarious. But this seems to be one of the only channels that's doing that, other than The Onion. I'm not sure about The Onion, in all honesty. Don't really find them all that funny. It's just weird. I don't know. Maybe it's trying to make me cry. That's probably it. Yeah, it's just disappointing where certain left-leaning channels go. Because that does mean that the narrative is different wherever you choose, essentially. Whatever you choose, that matter. And it is concerning. I don't really understand. Fuck, I got distracted. ADHD moment. Great. Pretty sure ADHD wipes memory as well. Yeah. I don't really know what else to add to this, to be honest. I just wish channels would be a bit braver and not resort to fucking clickbait, which isn't true. I thank fuck for the video previews, but oftentimes these discussions are the same thing, which just needs to happen to even get attention to begin with. But the problem is this is basically a daily thing, and given that the nature of it is based on clickbait, it's definitely not good. To most viewers, myself included now, it just looks like a way to get revenue, rather than to actually make a statement. And the problem is all this reporting on Trump, I'm pretty sure doesn't help either. One video a week, that's reasonable. But a video a day on this cunt? Like, I'm almost starting to wonder whether these people are actually Trump supporters. Because why the fuck are you so fixated on this? Forget that America's not in a good state. Nobody's denying that. But you're giving him the attention that he wants. So what the hell are you doing? It's better to give a little rather than all the attention. In the UK, we have these content creators here and there who I sort of watch occasionally, who make content on Trump, and it's generally more balanced. It's definitely much better. So, I don't really know what to add. It's just kind of crappy. And hopefully that in the future we'll start to see more rational people take the space and do these criticisms and stuff. Because at this point it's not really worth it. There's not really anything in these fucking videos at this point. So it just doesn't work. You know, you can upload activism and stuff, like whatever. But when you're doing these critique videos on a specific clip, first of all, they don't need to be 20 minutes long. Second of all, they don't need to be uploaded daily. So, you also need to find a way to get that balance and stop giving to the trend that Trump obviously wants. That's obviously he wants this attention. That's why he's doing so many bad things. It's all a distraction from the actual reality of things, like the fact he probably supports the war in Palestine. And he wants Israel to take over, which is horrific, and continue the genocide. He probably wants to go to war with Venezuela, we all know that. And he also wants to distract from the Epstein files, and this is all literally a means of not only gaining support from really morally corrupt billionaires, but also people, supposedly. And when he's doing all this shit, whilst a lot of people will disagree with him, unfortunately there are those who will solidify their beliefs and they'll realise that, oh, you know what, this benefits me. Because believe it or not, there are even benefits for people who are quite highly democratic in the systems that he wants. But people are too stupid to realise that there's bigger consequences to that. And it's pretty much the case that as I'm listening to Hassan Piker in a podcast with Zach Blatant, but Hassan is actually calling it the steps to a monarchy, and yeah, that does seem pretty accurate. It explains the White House being demolished, it explains why Trump has taken so much money. It's literally all the means of controlling the entire country. And there isn't really much else to add to that. You know, no matter what Trump says, it's just going to be a problem. And I guess the solution is that I'd much rather there be like a weekly video or something, or a video every few days, rather than daily and unnecessarily long to explain the points. So anyway, I better move on. We're doing enough. It's not even 10 minutes and I've gotten my point across. That says a lot. Anyway, let's move on. I'm for an unfun topic again. Seems to be a lot of this lately. It's not really something I can help with, which ironically ties into the topic as well. So I've been going through a lot of burnout, and autistic burnout is probably one of the worst feelings you can have, because it's even worse than anxiety, it's even worse than a panic attack, and it can be responsible for, as it turns out, flare-ups. And with myself having Crohn's disease, yeah, that's gonna backfire, obviously. Already feeling it at the moment. I've had several stomach aches and barely even satisfying bowel movements. So also, what the hell's happening in the game? So most of my minion is floating in the air. That's weird. I'll do a such reprimand for that. No, for some reason that stopped. Yeah. But it's so bizarre when I've been diagnosed with all this stuff, and yeah, nobody's actually helping with burnout. And the thing that makes me worry about this, other than the fact that I'm just suffering constantly as a result, and literally feels like the worst situation I could ever be in, is the fact that nobody's helping with it, and I might even have consequences as a result. Because yesterday, there was fireworks going off in the local area for some stupid reason there shouldn't have been. It had been going on for 6 days, 6 evenings in a row at that point. and the police were doing nothing. And for the first time ever, I fucking had an argument with them. I didn't text, obviously, but I literally said, like, this is terrorising wildlife and people. And they said, it's not our issue. Very fucking is. Like, the council don't do anything. They've contacted the council. They won't do anything. So it is your issue. And then the council will just say, contact the police. So it goes in circles, and I said, literally brought up, like, yeah, I could just pull it up, couldn't I? So I've got it here. Yeah, the police can only come around after 11, apparently. Which is not a good time, because you've got kids sleeping before that, who have to go to school the next day, who are going to be kept up by that shit. Like, are you kidding me? And people who work as well. Like, let's not forget that parents have to get an early night with kids, because they have to wake up before their kids as well, and they have to obviously be prepared for whatever comes. And it's just shitty. I literally said in his text that they need to break the cycle. And they said they can't come around until 11, yeah, and I called that out basically. I said that's a problem because people go to bed around before that time. And I said no concern for wildlife either, which is just, yeah, it says a lot. It's just, why? But the thing is, this would be less of an issue if this show, which by the way I'll demonstrate, sound warning if you do get it, that's my wall. It's not brick, it's fucking wood. And you hear the displays, because that's obviously on there. But that's the problem. The walls are so fucking thin, and so is the ceiling, I guarantee you if I hit that enough times, it'll break. But I can hear everything through this shit, and that's leading to my burnout. And on top of that, I've got the door as well, which leaks so much fucking noise. I genuinely don't feel safe here. I actively feel like my life is in danger because of this situation. So yeah, call it what you want in this house, I guess. But Jesus Christ, I don't know what else I can say at this point. There's just so many problems in this house. I've listed them all. I've already contacted social care because I don't really have any fucking choice. I need someone to do something. And obviously this place, nobody's going to do anything, because I've already tried over a year. I mean, that's one of my big mistakes coming here, in all honesty. I shouldn't have fucking come here to begin with. If I'd stayed in my last place and waited for the current housemate to be kicked out, probably would have been good. The thing is, I'm not strong enough. So as I said, I've complained about this for too long now, and nothing has changed. And I'm finding new issues, because I started hearing planes like a few months ago, and I'm forced to wear headphones all night. And I'm surprised my ears aren't blocked up, because it honestly feels very fucking wet around the ear hole, because I have to wear headphones all the time to even address this shit. I can technically take mine off at the moment, so I'll do that and pause the video. But yeah, it's always wet, and so is the back of my ear. It obviously creates weird smells and stuff. And it's just impossible to actually feel like I can do anything and be healthy. Somehow I'm not overeating as a result, but it's probably because the stress is making me not hungry, rather than hungry. So, yeah, I don't know what else to add to that. But I have to explain another thing, which I feel is important. So, when it comes to my behaviours in burnout, I'm either extremely shut down or extremely melted down. So I'm either angry or I'm depressed, and it could be either one of those two things. It can be a mix, but it can be one or the other. This unfortunately leads to real life consequences where I either take out my anger or depression on myself or others. I don't hit people, luckily, and never got into a habit of that, which is good. Because I very well could have done that. So instead I just use my voice to shout, and that's how I managed that, which is also good advice, by the way. It's better to shout than to fucking punch something, because I have broken keyboards in the past. Also, I got weird hair in my fucking ear. What the hell? Why is there hair in my ear? Why are they growing there? The hell is in my other ear as well? It's not even in the socket. What the fuck? That is so weird. Maybe they're protecting me. Anyway. Yeah, there's consequences, and it's unfortunately unavoidable. If anyone knows anything about autism, you definitely know one of the first things. It's definitely a warning sign of it. It's probably the behaviours when led to a meltdown or a shutdown, and you can easily sense it based on the severity of it. Because in a meltdown case, it can sound like a toddler tantrum, but it can also just sound like an adult shouting. Get fucking fed up, as I have. And shutdowns often very different. Like, it could be someone going quiet, or it could be someone just acting on suicidal thoughts. Which is not a pleasant topic, and I definitely have that a lot as well. You know, I sometimes, because of OCD, I wash my hands a lot. And sometimes I just go to the plug socket without properly wiping my hands, and yeah, I'll just take whatever comes, really. You know, if it kills me, I don't fucking care. It doesn't fucking matter to me. You know, nobody's looking out for me, so, you know, what does it fucking matter? Yeah, it does lead you to that line of logic, that thought. So, as I said, it comes in different forms, but it can also, as it appears in real life, it can also happen online, and for some reason people don't want to even admit this, which is stupid. Like, autism is a thing, and it can happen anywhere, in any place. It's happened online for myself personally. Well, I got some cunt on somehow r/vegan subreddit telling me that I should go out and work as someone who's constantly online. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And I had to explain everything, and I said, like, okay, I can't work because of a doctor's note saying it's too risky to work, and then they said, terrible excuse. What? Why is it a terrible excuse? You didn't fucking even explain. So it's already flawed in that sense. You haven't even explained why it's a terrible excuse. Now I've had to explain why I'm not working. Various different reasons why. I've already explained it, I'll have to repeat it here as well. The first thing with autism, I have a type called PDD, and that means I'm more socially awkward and inept. So when it comes to a workplace, I can't communicate my thoughts and feelings properly. I can't do that to co-workers, and I can't do that to the boss, so, you know, fuck me, I guess. Where extroverts will definitely have no problem with people with PDA usually. So, that's not helpful. But then I've got other diagnoses. I've got mixed anxiety, which involves panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, and OCD. These three are fucking painful to live with. And they cause too many problems. My panic disorder caused me to not feel safe anywhere. And I sort of panic about my own situation. Like, I've been up some nights because I hear planes. That's what the panic leads to. I keep thinking like, oh god, is it Russia? Is it someone? I don't know. It's nothing safe anymore. Which is why we need to hold billionaires accountable for this bullshit of technology. Because yeah, they're responsible for it just as much as anyone else. OCD causes me to lose my mind at simple organisation things. My room's always really tidy. I never leave stuff on the ground. If something touches the ground, even like, I'm like, ew. Like, for example, I kick off my pyjamas sometimes. I have additional pairs of pyjamas, like a shirt or trousers. I don't wear my shirt a lot, it's too warm. But I will sometimes kick them off by accident, even though they're like tucked between my legs, not like up close, but they're just there for safety really. So I can grab them whenever I need to. But sometimes I kick it off, it falls on the ground, and I'm like, okay, that's going in the wash. I'm not fucking touching that. And especially with the 5-second rule not actually being a thing, yeah, I'm not gonna risk that shit. It's dangerous. So no way I'm letting that happen, and I'll just get a new shirt or wear something else. Like, that's simply that. I have to always wash my pyjamas anyway, after washing my covers as well, like during it actually. I sort of do them at the same time, so I've always got a safety net there. Still, it's a big problem. OCD sucks. Social anxiety, pretty self-explanatory. I can't really communicate much, and I get really anxious in social situations. And sometimes I'm fine, but other times I'm not. And that inconsistency really doesn't help. And I have to talk about the other diagnosis, which is dysthymia, but I'm questioning that. Basically a type of depression which did somewhat accurately describe me, but it wasn't perfect. It can be quite a dangerous type of depression, I think. It's not as bad as bipolar, I don't think. But it might as well be bipolar at this point, because I don't know what the fuck else it could be. Yeah, given the mood swings I have, it just doesn't work. And that definitely will affect me in a workplace scenario, as with the other things. Because I like come home thinking like, okay, I'm a disappointment, or I'm a failure, or I've been laid off. Let's not forget that redundancy meetings are quite common in the workplace, not to mention work is hard to get to begin with, which is another point I made, especially for autistic people. Then I'm gonna have more fucking problems. And you're telling me to work. Like what? I'm not competent enough to fucking work, let alone well enough. I don't even have any talents. I suppose that's another thing, like, it's not diagnosed, but I have extremely low self-esteem. I don't think I'm good at anything. And that's been a common thing throughout childhood as well. So I've never exhibited any sort of qualities. You know, I've never been picked for like certain group activities. I've never been like a first pick for anything. I've never been sort of awarded for anything like that. Not even celebrated. Like, I don't have a fucking high enough self-esteem to even do a workplace job. I'll look at a bit of documentation and hand it in, and then they'll be like, oh, you know, that's not right. You need to fix this and that. And there'll just be all these sort of problems. I'll just keep repeating the mistakes too, because I have a low self-esteem. And that's just going to bring me down, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm absolutely fucked in this job, aren't I? There's no helping. So, that's another thing, but then I have a final diagnosis. Actually, it's not the final diagnosis, but I have another one. I have breathing issues. So, that causes a great discomfort for me. I don't know where it comes from, but it seems to happen every now and then. And it really bothers me. It keeps me from sleeping at times, it keeps me from being comfortable, it's just not great. And in a workplace, it's going to affect me badly, especially with another undiagnosed issue with like ADHD, which I almost definitely have. But it goes into the final diagnosis, which is another really distracting problem: Crohn's disease. And I think it's Crohn's disease rather than ulcerative colitis, so I potentially got that wrong. But I get inflammation of the bowels. And because this happens during the morning more commonly, it does luckily mean I'm able to not work, but do things normally after mornings. But the problem is I go like 3 times a morning at worst. But luckily it's reduced to like 2 times and it's taken the meds. But it's still super problematic because I spend anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes on the toilet at a time because I'm either constipated or there's too much coming out or there's too much to clean up. There's different scenarios here. So in a workplace environment, if I have to work 9 to 5, people will have to understand that I have that issue. In fact, it might even have to be the case they have to build a toilet for people like me. Because my shit doesn't also flush that well, which is another fucking problem. The amount of times I've blocked this toilet here, and surprisingly I haven't blocked many others, but very well could have. It's just insane. So if the toilets are not fit for purpose, I'm just going to cause property damage. And like, who do you even fucking call in to address that if there's no plunger or anything? Obviously you don't want a plunger if you're working an office job. But even then, this shit causes me to literally sweat. Because I'm having to excruciatingly extract that stuff and make sure it's all out of my system before I go to my seat. So on top of all of that, sitting there waiting, piping, cleaning, I'm also sweating at the same time because I have to stand up to even begin to wipe myself. Sorry for the detail, but that's what happens. And that causes a lot of agony, and then I'll start to sweat. Like, it's fucking stupid, and you could say, like, get a bidet. You realise how much they cost? Like, I can't afford that shit, and if a workplace isn't gonna give me one, then, you know, the problem won't be solved, and they'll stop blaming me, they'll fire me. So there's no way in hell that I could work a job in my current state. Yeah, it goes without saying that if these problems could get solved, I could very well do it, but the important thing here is with the wording, if it gets solved. Because treatment's only as good as the effectiveness of it, really. But when treatment doesn't do it the bare minimum, of course I'm gonna fucking struggle. It's going to be a struggle. Because the treatment has to work to do its job, to even address this problem. You know, with autism, it needs to reduce my symptoms. With ADHD, again the same thing. With mixed anxiety, it needs to address all my anxious thoughts. With depression, I need a way to treat that. But then you start piling on these medications and we got another problem on our hands, another huge problem. Because the medication has side effects. And when these side effects stack up, as I've experienced myself, it doesn't end well. It ends with like constipations, one thing that made me quit multiple medications. Where I'm on the toilet for like 2 hours a day with no success sometimes. It's just agonising, and then I still have a stomachache, I still have a feeling of, oh, I need to go. It's really not optimal. So medication doesn't work. So there's no treating this issue. There's literally nothing. There's nothing for autism. Maybe something for ADHD, but again, comes with consequences. as usual. Maybe something for anxiety, but again, too many side effects. So I've already got 2 medications I could possibly take. Depression, a 3rd medication, again, too many side effects, because I'm sensitive to side effects, that's another symptom I forgot. Doctors acknowledged it, but they didn't put in my medical records for some stupid reason, even though I was taking like 7.5 milligrams of metazapine, and I was having side effects. A good job. Way to fucking do your job. Oh, Jesus Christ. And by the way, like 15 milligrams is the lowest dose. So, the fact I halved it, and still got side effects. Like, are you kidding me? How am I not sensitive to medication? So that doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable how I have to justify this shit, and again it makes me fearful of the consequences. This is why I make videos rather than live stream, even though I want to do live streaming sort of things. I'm too much of a risk online. And who knows, like, what kind of slip-ups could I even make as well? Like, some things definitely could be fine with, but other things I'm just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have shared that, maybe I shouldn't have talked about that. It varies in severity, because I could be talking about, like, maybe even just leaking the name of the abusive housemate is the worst thing. I could even be talking about very uncomfortable topics that have affected me a lot. So, I don't know at this point. But that's always one of my fears as well. You know, looking at how certain content creators online have been treated as a result of stuff like what I'm going through. It's absolutely disgusting, and people say or complain even about trauma dumping, which is like, fuck off. You know, everyone may have gone through trauma, but you're essentially telling people to keep it up inside, keep it up or whatever, and then act on it in unfavourable ways. So you're now accountable for someone who's been traumatised, unable to express themselves, and has gone mad because of your shit. Because you say, no, you shouldn't be talking about this. Like, fuck off. I don't like hearing about trauma. But I'll hear people out if they're talking to me directly. If they're talking to others, maybe I'll listen in. Because that's what a caring person does. It's not about what you feel about the trauma itself. As I said, I've witnessed terrible things myself, but I'm open to hearing about other people's situations so I can sympathise and provide advice, hopefully, that helps in the long term. On TikTok, there was actually, weirdly enough, a trend that kind of stopped for some reason, I don't know why. I kept getting recommended videos from domestic abuse victims, and I heard a few of them out. It was really sad. The fact that people can get away with this shit, get away with domestic abuse, it's just absolutely horrific. You know, you've got people in the comments who are like extremely callous. So she's saying something like, oh, I don't care, or she's probably lying. Oh, what the fuck? Or what is I welcome to? At this point, just trauma dump. Just do it anywhere. Doesn't fucking matter, because at this point it needs to be normalised. I'm fed up with people telling us even, that it's not actually relevant, or it's not something that you should talk about. And people say, like, get into my problems as well, like, go to therapy. I've tried. 3 times I've tried going to therapy for these problems. And all 3 times they've never worked. The first time was about my anxiety. Did a course of therapy. Only really got one useful bit of advice, and that was like the grounding technique. But that's it didn't help. I couldn't apply the grounding technique Because in situations where the anxiety was stronger, the grounding technique was useless. So it didn't work. And I went again, and I tried to make it more focused on my depression and my autism. And again, same problem. Couldn't learn anything, couldn't do anything. Well, the therapy was just useless, so I ended up quitting the therapy session. And then the third time, which I did recently, I specifically asked for therapy about autistic burnout. And I got this advice from the NHS, by the way. And the NHS referred me to the therapy. I got through to the therapist. The therapist place said, okay, we can arrange that for you. Got into what I thought was a therapy session, but it was actually just an online form thing. And they said, oh, we don't deal with that. Oh, what? I asked for fucking therapy for autistic burnout. And you completely ignored what I said. It's just so stupid. So there's no such thing as a treatment or a solution to our problems, and at this point this is why people don't have a will to do it. And this is why people are so chaotic these days, because nobody's actually addressing the problem. And again, it's probably related to the billionaire situation where they're probably putting us against each other. Yeah, what's that fucking noise? Check my camera. Some cunt outside playing a really loud engine. I don't know why I can hear it. That's all I wish I was a megaphone on this fucking camera because it's so stupid that this is happening. It is can that be it? It's fucking BMW, is that? Right, it's something else. Let's put this over next to the car. I don't know. It's so fucking stupid. There's no solutions, and with enough, the treatment for something like autistic burnout is people with more empathy. People who can actually properly soundproof a building for sensory issues with sound, which I obviously have. There should be a way to ventilate smell, so I don't smell even hear dead meat. What? I don't smell basically rotting corpses in the kitchen, because fucking hell, meat stinks the place, it's so bad. Even next to washing up was already dried. It's bad. With touch office it's quite easy to address, it's not really. I think there's a car outside, I don't know what that's about. But yeah, visually, not much you can do, it's really, that's more in control, actually. Yeah, good curtains and stuff could definitely help that, and eye mask at night for thunderstorms and stuff. Yeah, it varies. Yeah, I don't really know if there's anything else. But these are easy to address with the understanding and knowledge around it. Like if your car's too loud, if it's too loud to you, it's definitely too loud to an autistic person. You know, a listenable volume is one where you can comprehend it, not one where you're absolutely fucking deafening yourself. That's the difference. You don't need to deafen yourself. Which is so stupid. I've heard it way too many times. People just not being able to control their own talking voice because they're so deafened by the volume of things that they listen to. You know, when I'm wearing headphones, for example, like at the moment, because each headphone thing varies, my volume used to be at 14, but it's at 25 because of an issue with Rocksmith being too quiet. Like, it's so hard to balance, like, applications within 25%. FL Studio's at 6, Final Fantasy 14 is at 4, Discord is at 4, and that's already quite loud. Like, it's so bad, and Microsoft Edge at 10. Like, it's really hard to balance. So it is a struggle. And the more knowledge that people have around something like this, not even sound, the better I think the world could be. That's why I've advocated for a ban for fireworks. Because it's just so disruptive. And if someone's making music as well at night, which no doubt people have to because they work a job, but they want a hobby, how the fuck are they supposed to make it when there's fireworks going off? Especially if you're a drummer, that's gonna set off your fucking beats per minute. I mean, you're not gonna be able to play to a beat or metronome because that's too loud. So, yeah, that's essentially this topic. I can't remember what it's actually about. I just get, yeah, actually that was it. It's about potential dramas that could be caused by my mental health problems, but I'm also starting to think I have a bit of schizophrenia, maybe. I'm trying to think the other issues could be. There feels somewhere I won't talk about, but that's for another time. It's like hypersexuality and stuff. But there are so many problems. You know, you can't be safe in that. That's another problem at the workplace. Hypersexuality is so unpredictable that it could literally lead to worse things happening. Because they start as thoughts and then, who knows, there could come actions. That's the problem. And there's no controlling that, unfortunately. So, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it, make people aware. I'm already quite far behind my fucking hobbies at the moment. Like, how much am I into it? 47 minutes, fucking hell. It's the thing, I'm trying to figure out what to do in this living situation to make it livable. There's nothing. I don't know what to fucking do. It's too loud here. It's just unbearable at the moment. So yeah, let's move on the topic. We've got Rant and Rant, which is kind of fun, I suppose. So, I've had guitar hangers for a while, and they have varying degrees of issues and qualities. For the issues, well, actually that's probably going to be the last thing, so I'll go with the quality first. Never had one fall, never had one come loose, which is good. And I do like the lock-in ones, where it keeps it secure. Only problem is mine need to be pushed on a bit, so they actually work, or you need to manually lock it up, basically. It's just the only annoying part, really. And it would prevent most issues, I think. That's some noise. What the fuck is with this house? Yeah, random shit. I'm trying to think of other qualities. I don't know actually. I can't think of any other things with it. But I have a surprising few complaints with years that I've used these in different types. Looking into being quite new. I think the first thing is, I'll say these lock-in ones. The fact you have to press them to fucking get them to work, because they're not like official ones, they're too expensive for me. It's really annoying, it's such a simple mechanism as well. So I really don't know why they just don't work properly. The second problem is putting them up. It's not easy. Yeah, you have to measure it out and then essentially make sure it's in the right angle and then drill it. You also have to check if there's electronics as well, which is frustrating as hell, because you don't really know where to use them. I don't know. The other thing would be, yeah, I just think that there's a way to go. Also, that's the other thing. I had to get rid of my 6-string bass because it was basically too heavy and not enough room for it. So I sold it, and one of the pains in the arses that this ended up being was it basically took a proper guitar holder, well, supposedly anyway, but the lock-in ones I had, 6-string bass would not fit on it. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, why the hell is this a problem? So that's confusing, for sure. So I have to get this bigger guitar holder to even accommodate that. I think I still have it somewhere. Jesus, that's annoying. It just about fits the 7-string, which is bizarre. Like, where the hell is the customization? That's another point. Why is it not customizable? That's just so confusing, but that also ties into another fucking issue. It ties into the issue of basically the distance from the wall and the distance for the fucking headstock as well. Because with these lock-in tuners, as much as they're good, they're not well designed enough to stop it from falling completely. And that's mainly because of its terrible sort of distancing, I suppose, between the lock-in bit. And they just don't really work as they should, I don't think. Because if they like rotate in the holder, they're probably not going to hold. In fact, the thing's going to unlock. That becomes a problem. It's mainly when you're dealing with wind, I suppose, it becomes an issue. Even then, a good grip and a good angle definitely mitigates that. Even though it might poke your eye out, it's supposedly far better anyway. And then getting the headstock to fit obviously is a big issue. As I said with the 6-string bass, it was a pain to find one that would fit. I think I went through one iteration and found another, which is fine. I think it came with 2 headstocks if I'm not mistaken, actually, the packet. But anyway, this one worked for the 6-string bass, but again, didn't leave with much certainty. So that was an issue in itself. What's the other thing? Okay, that's it. Distance from the wall. My biggest pet peeve with guitars and displaying them is the distance from the fucking wall. Like, why is this a problem? Like, how the hell is it a problem to begin with? It's one of the most annoying things simply because when you actually look at it, on the wall, because there's a massive fucking shadow in it, and you know, I can fit almost my entire hand behind this guitar here. I've got one hanging up. That's just annoying. As someone with OCD, I want it to be in line with like the posters and stuff. So what's the solution to that then, you might ask? Well, better headstock and better holder. So one that supports it from below, from the wall, so it's not like a fucking, what it is now, where it sticks out like it's an erection. Like a better analogy. But it like comes out from the wall. So I'm trying to think of a sort of way to describe it as better. Like, I suppose like a shelf. Imagine if you had a shelf thing that supported it from the bottom and basically a more intricate way of supporting it from the top, like maybe sort of works like a curve. You just fish it into that curvy bit and then it goes into a slot. And that keeps the headstock in place. And it also stops the idea that if the place shakes, which it probably wouldn't given it's the UK, then it won't fall off. So it's not only really secure, it's also nicely displayed, because you have it like sitting there, like able to sit against the wall and not be like right sticking out in front of you, which was a problem with the last place actually. That's one of the things I'll have to address if I move again, because I definitely don't want to use these headstocks again, I don't think. Holders, hangers. It has to be something different, and I don't really know what the holder is, like guitar holder from wall. what is that? It's called. Then to do something called a level up strat wall holder, which is actually exactly what I'm talking about. At least for the headstock. But it's not the thing I'm talking about for like supporting the base, if it's even secure enough. Is that what it's called? Guitar holder. Level up. I don't know. That's basically what I want. And the problem is you can't really get a guitar stand thing that goes against the wall either, because these things, annoyingly, at least to my knowledge, I think I just found a nice one, £75. That's interesting. But it needs to like lean inwards into the wall in order for that one to stick out. And also because it's sideways, it still means the guitar sticks out. That's the problem in itself. Like, it's probably the best thing I've seen so far. For sure, my old one costed like £40 or so. So this is actually a bargain. Also has a speaker. Yeah, also has a pedal tray and stuff. It's neat. Is it come out? And what's this video? Okay, you can put it apart, put it together, I mean, how you want. The tray thing, got a table even, that's nice. Yeah, you can literally do it however you want, I think. I think you can have it with like the table in the corner or the guitars in the corner. So that addresses that problem. Although, does it fit a X shape? Because I've the Ormsby X guitar. I didn't see one on there. It's just Strat shapes at the moment. So I don't know about that. That's why hangers are generally more superior. You can have any shape guitar you want. And it just fits. That might be what she said, but I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, I really don't know. Oh, there's even a desk one. Desk holder. The fuck? Crazy. Yeah, I really don't know. It's just another rant, really. I can't believe the state of fucking guitar hangers. Like, what the hell? How is it so bad? It genuinely doesn't make any sense. What's this? An adjust wall? And it does go straight from the wall, which is good. You know, I want that headstock literally resting against the wall. Not scratchy ever, obviously. So it just doesn't stick out. Again, that hand, there's so much fucking space between that. I guess it's like 10-15 centimeters. I literally don't want that shit. I want it to be at least 4-5 centimeters between the wall and it. Yeah. I don't really know what else to add. That's really my complaint with that. Yeah, I can ignore the lock-ins or stuff. But that to me is like a bigger problem now. Why does this look like a teddy bear? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Certainly have to look into it, I think. Yeah, it's all out for the topic, so bloody move on. So my voice is too loud and the fireworks are too loud, but I can't do anything about that because fucking bonfire night. Which in the UK means a bunch of idiots think that it's a clever idea to put fireworks in the sky. So if you have a problem with that, start calling it for what it is. It's a firearm, it's an explosive weapon, and say that to the government. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about another form of fascism, and that is the microtransaction hellscape that is Sonic Rumble. So, after the success of Sonic Crossworlds, you would have thought, okay, maybe they can't really make many mistakes now in the Sonic games. But no, they've made a shit ton of mistakes now. They've released Sonic Rumble. Apparently this was in the works for a long time. Not 100% sure how true that is. But this basically means that There's I'm not get distracted. So I muted the stream, but there's a fucking mute. Does input even do anything anymore? No. It says M for mute. Are you fucking kidding me? What Twitch doing? Anyway, so Sonic Rumble's released and it's got one mostly negative reviews on Steam with the exact things I hate in a game, and many other players do as well. Thermo, rotating skins, premium skins, thresholds of microtransactions. There's a battle pass as well, which I didn't see mentioned, but I've seen it in game, so yeah. And to be fair, I've not played it, I've just seen others play it, and obviously the reviews inform you as well. Why? Like, that's my question every single time I see this sort of shit. Just why? Because it looks boring as fuck as well. We really can't discount that sort of fact. It just doesn't look like there's anything interesting going on. It's just one of the laziest fucking games I've ever seen. Even Genshin Impact has more depth and fun than this. And that game is garbage. It's almost like they've tried to copy it like for like in some ways. So it's just like Fall Guys instead. Jesus Christ. Like seeing the menu that there's multiple currencies and it's a mobile game as well. It's just, why? It's completely ruining this fucking series. Because it could have decent games, but they're deciding no. They're not actually making the right decisions here, not making good decisions for that matter. It just looks like crap, and you could customise your characters in it, which is fine. I generally don't have a problem with that. It's one of the only games that's doing it, I think. But holy crap, it is absolutely awful from what I can see. Don't see how anyone would like that. Makes zero sense. So, again, it's a demonstration in what not to do in a game released today, released on mobile. It's a fucking joke. I really don't understand what they're thinking with this, because it really does not make any sense. Like, how the hell is this even considered a good idea? It just baffles me. Like, the audience in this is pretty obvious. Like, I guarantee you, if I install the game now and I go in, look at all the microtransactions stuff, I can immediately tell you it's designed for kids. It's designed to be as shitty as possible, just to keep people hooked. And it's sort of ironic that I talked about Fortnite before this, and I said similar things. I'm pretty sure I did anyway, maybe I didn't. Yeah, I didn't, could you? Yeah, I can't hear myself at the moment because I got all this cat on. Jesus Christ. Seriously, fuck. Like, fuck everything. When you want to see a decent game and they just release this garbage. Like, why? You know, you could look at what people have been requesting for years and they're not even looking at it. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Why are they doing this? I don't really know what else to add at this point. Obviously look at reviews and stuff, and that's a good way to be informed. Look at gameplay too. It's just absolutely horrific. I mean, judging by the stream, they've also added fucking movie Sonic to it, which is interesting. Yeah, it's just really off-putting. I'm going to look at the reviews again, see if there's anything else. Yeah, for some reason I put Steam Rumble in there, imagine. It looks absolutely garbage. Admittedly, the cute characters is probably the only good thing about it. Yeah, they feel like a similar size, which is definitely interesting. They've also got odd characters in there. You know, more Green and Rabbit, which I like. Got costumes as well, which is fine. Yeah, got Chows as well. I haven't seen Chows in a while, I don't think. Jesus Christ. Yes, mainly negative reviews. In a world where you can get a whole fully featured, actually fun racing game for less than the price of 2 skins here. Yep. That sounds about right. Who's giving these fucking gesture awards? They need to make the names public at this point. What fucking idiots are doing this? Seriously. Like, they think they can get away with this shit. That's a crazy thing. Yeah, they harass anyone they can on the internet. Really, we should turn sides at that point. It's fucking stupid. What's this other review say? This game is incredibly predatory with all the mobile trappings it has. It charges over $40 to $60 for skins, so that's way too high, by the way. A rational price at this stage in this economy. I'd say it's about £10 or less. That's it, and that'll be about $12. Anyway, the review continues to say multiple simultaneous paid battle passes, gacha rolls. I mean, what did I say? I didn't even know it had that, but I said it's like kind of copying Genshin in a sense. Yeah, gacha. So that's a thing then. A subscription service. Tedious grinds seen in other mobile games, like farming fragments or a rare premium skin such character. Yep. That's Genshin Impact as well. There's a lot of similarities. While cute, the game does overload on wanting you to spend money on a ton of different things. It would be one thing if it was just kept to the shop where you didn't have to see it, but it's always in your face. Where was I? I got distracted. And stupid life stuff. Is this even the same review? Yeah. Where did I read that then? Yeah, if it's just kept to the shop, you didn't see it, that's it. But it's always in your face. Yeah, that's what they do. They continue. They want you to buy those ludicrously expensive skins so you can pay to win, to get those higher scores and get better ranks. They didn't learn anything from the soft launch and mobile. Yep. Pretty accurate. What does a positive review say then? This one's quite detailed, so bear with me. I've also interrupted a lot. I see a lot of misinformation regarding this game, so I'm writing this to clear things up. As a person who's been playing for months, there's a lot to be said. There is no ring bonus for skins or bodies. How you win in games is independent of how you play and how you use your skills. While there are some skills that grant an advantage, you can get them by just playing the game. I've not spent a dime in this game, I have no plans on doing so, and I easily hit Emerald rank from just playing. While yes, this game does give players an advantage, paying players have an advantage, I mean. It doesn't matter outside of ranks, I'd be in many rank top 10 players in my match, there's no problem. That's kind of concerning though, actually, just interrupting. It's the same as Genshin. In order to get to where you want to be in that game, even though it's more gameplay oriented with its gacha, you still need to grind it out a ton, and that's even without paying. It takes you years to get the account to address any sort of endgame content that you want to, or have to in a lot of cases. So that's shit. Also, that's a negative part. I don't see how this is positive. All the time you see a free-to-play game and it's saying that it's free-to-play friendly. It's not. It's free-to-play grindy. There's a difference. I wouldn't say it's friendly. It's free-to-play is when it's giving you free stuff. Definitely not. Because that comes with a catch, as usual. Going back to the review. This game does have very predatory monetization, but that is to be expected from a free-to-play mobile game, unfortunately. I'm not defending this, okay, that's good. What I should say is, let's continue. You can fully enjoy this game while paying, so... Did I say that right? You can fully enjoy this game while paying, so... Oh, $0, okay. I thought it said so. The American dollar sign is awful on Steam. It used to have 2 strikes for it, didn't it? Anyway, back to review. They also seem to be returning old power skins and items for red rings and omni fragments. What's that then? Like, isn't that a premium currency? Because all I see in this gameplay is rings. And I do see the other currencies, but they look premium. So that doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's continue. Only issues that can easily be fixed is to get rid of seasonal omni fragments and else keep them. What? They removed the fucking currency? Are you kidding me? That's stupid. Let's continue. That battle passes cost red rings, increase red rings for free-to-play players, and significantly lower the prices and grind for skins. Skins should not be the same price as entire games. True. Also, that's fucking horrific. Like, why do these things cost stuff like that? Like, why? I get sort of having a way to get a premium battle pass is definitely good without even paying anything. But it just sort of makes you wish that the game was paid so you can actually just get into it and just grind it out. Like Blatant is like a perfect example of a live service where you can grind out pretty much all the skins other than obviously the microtransaction ones on the store, but people are happy to buy that anyway because it's a very good game. So anyway, let's continue. If you dislike the game, that is completely fair, but just don't come on here saying some guy spent $20 on a skin, so I lost. That's just not true. I'm not sure what that means in the review here. It's a bit weird to say. Also, I'm getting a headache from the noise cancelling. Maybe it's working overtime. Back to the review. Other than that, I've been having fun. I hope there was implement some needed changes. I don't want another Sonic Runner situation. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah, it's weird. Like, that's a positive review, and there's already a lot of negative things mentioning that. So, in a way, I see what they're saying, but in another way, it doesn't mean it's good. If it takes months of grinding, that's already a bad thing. You know, why can't you start off where other players are at currently? This is a big problem with Genshin Impact on Honkai Star Rail, where if they address this problem, which I for some reason never mentioned before, I think I only just realised it now. But if you were able to pick up to, say, 6 current characters in the entire roster to having a team of 6 current 5-star characters for that matter, and a couple of 4-stars, you'd see significantly less problems in the game, and you'd see happy free-to-play players. And the reason why that is, and also have them equipped to a reasonable level as well, like start them off, because another thing is to grind to get them equipped. But you'd start to see players enjoying the game, newer players, and definitely hook them into the game as well. You'd also prepare them for the endgame content, because you only really need like 2 to 6 4-stars at this point. And I haven't played in a long time, but the 4-stars can be powerful and strong. The 5-stars are generally better, but there's so much to pick from, and with the other endgame content in that, you literally need to have it so that you can pick the 5-star you need. So let's say I haven't played in a while, just to be clear. I played Lost in like 7.3, is it? No, 5.3. No, it has to be 5.3. I think of Final Fantasy for some reason. But let's say for Imaginarium Theatre you needed like fire and electric characters. And given that the strongest fire and electric characters were only released from Fontaine and Natlan, you need to pick those. So you'll pick those from the 5-star selector and then a few sub DPS, for example. Or supports even. So sub DPS or supports work. But I'll pick like Marika, I'm trying to remember, Auroron, Chlorine, I'll definitely pick. Damn, what's another one? I can't remember, but there's definitely other characters. What's the other one? There's the one that supports. Oh god, I'll say like Shooter Girl, I can't remember her name. It's London, that's it. Who's the other girl, the older one? Actually, the granny, I forgot what her name is. But yeah, you pick characters like that as the 5 stars because they're really reliable teams and they really work. And then you pick maybe not Bennett as a 5 star because you technically already get him early, but the constellations are good. It's hard to say. Yeah. So other than Bennett, there'd be someone like, oh god, I can't remember actually. Poppy Signature is definitely really good. They probably picks a Farina over them. I feel like the point is you get hard start. Well, you do in that game. Jesus, boober. But you get a head start, and that would be really handy. It'd be so crucial to improving the game's overall lifespan and player enjoyment and satisfaction. You know, it's stupidly important. Like, I can't stress that shit enough. Like, it's so important because without that, the game is just doomed to fail, and technically we've already seen that happen. Because you can't catch up with the end game. You can't catch up with the latest story, believe it or not, because the latest story does require decent characters, especially as you get to the harder parts of the world level and the level scaling for that matter, because pretty much every mob in the game scales up to like 100 or something. When you're stuck at level 80, or was it level 90? I can't remember actually. But you need that to get by. So having that head start is definitely a much needed addition. And then players have something to work towards. And you know, it should be fine to have characters of current release. Oh yeah, the only problem with that is when you have players who basically, well actually it's like real money trading issues. But that's the problem with having a gacha system like this. You know, the head start should basically be there to allow players to get to where they want, and you could even just make it so that you just add draw characters to the end game, so people are on an even playing field regardless. It doesn't have to be for the account, it could just be, if it's a new account, doing the end game content. That's it. And that would still make it a much better game than what it currently is, from what I remember anyway. So, I don't know what else to add, but as I said, mobile games just keep sucking, and until they fix their biggest problems, they're not going to get my install at the moment, and they're not going to get anything else from me. You know, I quit them a while ago, and they can fuck off. So yeah, let's move on. So I just wasted 17 minutes fucking talking about this, but I realise it's probably not worth it. Also, I might have accidentally doxed myself in that clip, so maybe not. Just wanted to update people and say there's a possibility that I may be moving back to my old place, but also a possibility that I might be moving to somewhere new. Put simply, the house I'm in at the moment is an absolute shithole. It just doesn't work, really. Yeah, I wouldn't consider it fit for purpose because it's so fucking noisy. But that's the crazy thing. It just feels so noisy to me when I'm just laying there in bed, hearing the planes, hearing the cars and shit. I've already explained this, I think. There's so much unnecessary noise. So the possibility of having to move even to like a flat, if that's even an option at this point, seems more likely. So it's a bit awkward, but at the same time, it's pretty necessary. But say I do move to the old place, there are also complications with that. I have to try something like mass loaded vinyl, just to see if that works and if it's effective in addressing sound issues, which hopefully it is, because that would solve a lot of problems. But I really don't know. At this point, there's a lot of uncertainty with that sort of thing. Also, whether the landlord would fucking do it, that's the thing. And there was also a bit of a discussion about potentially getting a toilet or something, but I'm not sure. It would be nice to have my own toilet, but fitting everything into that fucking place will be a nightmare. Because I've got so much more now, it's gonna be hard to balance it. Like, I need more cupboard space and more fucking God knows what. Like, my god. It's just so complicated to figure this shit out, obviously. I've also got like an air fryer now and stuff. It's, again, it's annoying. So there's a lot of things to address with that, I suppose. I've got to reduce the amount of stuff I have for sure, but also need to fit things in, and that's going to be the hard part, to be honest. And I'm not really sure how best to address that, in all honesty. I think I need to utilise vertical space a lot, especially in my room, but also in the kitchen. It's one main worry, how you say it. Because I need to put my breakfast stuff somewhere, I need to put my cooking ingredients, which I need to sort out at some point as well. I think I should do that soon. I need to put my air fryer somewhere, my morning stuff. There's so many things I need to consider. Luckily, fridge and what the fuck space is it? Freezer. It's not a problem in that old place. It's actually a really good fridge freezer. It's the best one I've ever used, I think. There was a weird adult one that actually nobody used, which I'm surprised about. So I might actually sort of hijack one of these shelves at some point, if I ever do get that. It would be good to pick the shelf again, because I'm pretty sure there's a better one. There's better ones even. But that would be good. Certainly a good aspect. Yeah, it's weird. I'm not going to go into it much more than that. It's just something that I'm letting people know about, because it's seeming more and more like a likelihood. You know, my stress is absolutely through the roof because of the burnout I'm feeling from this current situation with all this fucking noise. It's just so terrible. Jesus. I can't believe it's so noisy. Also, why is my microfiber cloth not cleaning this shit? Like, yeah, it's just adds to stress. Like, I would wear contact lenses, but the idea of something touching my fucking eyes is like, ugh. No thanks. No, I've had a moth in my eye once, like literally landed in there because we had a moth infestation. And yeah, I couldn't exactly clean it out properly, so God knows what's behind my socket. Yeah, probably rotting moth and a bunch of debris and stuff. But also chili powder of all things, because I remember I was eating some Eat Real chili and lemon. One of my favourite crisps ever. They seem to have changed the flavour though, unfortunately, over time. So it's not as good as it used to be. Not with most things, unfortunately. But I remember I was like eating that, and I think I was like using my hands to eat it, because being stupid, and it actually doesn't go the way you think, by the way. I'll put my hands in the bag and take them out, and because I was being like quite slobbery with it for some reason that time around, it flicked up over my glasses and into my eye, and that hurt for like 2 hours, I think. Maybe fucking didn't need to wash it out or anything, because I can't wash it out, I'm too scared to. There's no way to wash it out other than a shower. But it's like, God, it was so fucking uncomfortable. It's insane. It's only a tiny amount as well, so imagine what full fucking chili powder would do. But yeah, some of that seasoning got in my eye. Ugh, bad memories. Anyway, I think I better move on. So we'll talk about that. I've no time to do my hobbies, which is annoying, because I need to do them. Jesus. There's something on my mind, obviously, as I'm making this So reason my glasses keep getting fucking dirty. I don't know how. I've only cleaned them this morning. That's not the topic though. I wanted to talk about politics, and it does apply to everywhere technically. But in the UK, there's again another trend of people siding with Reform, and as we know from Reform and sort of from what I know about their manifestos anyway, they're not on the side of the people. So, along with that and all these controversies that they're constantly in, there's just no way in hell that Reform are ever going to do good for this country. And you might be saying, oh, you're just a leftist, or you're just whatever. Well, they'll call me anything. Well, it doesn't fucking matter. But in the end, I don't demoralise this situation. I don't take it to mean something else. I see the situation for what it is. And when I see that compared to other parties and what they're trying to do, I'm often siding with the party that does the least wrong things. And that's the most important thing here. This is why I call it life and death politics. It's a term I'm coining anyway. It could be already existent, so maybe it means something else. But life and death politics, to summarise what I mean it as, is when you're looking at a political event in history or uprising or something, so like Reform and the Green Party for example. It's actually death versus life, and when you look at the things that they do, like what each of them are doing, you see that one's making less mistakes than the other. And when you really look into it and see the consequences of that into a future landscape, you start to realise that, holy shit, this is actually about life and death. Literally. Because, again, looking at what Reform are doing, you see all these different problems. You see all these problems in the Conservatives too, and we're seeing those problems in Labour at the moment, where I'd consider them a party that stands on the side of death, because there is no nicer thing to say about them. They literally want people dead. They stand with Israel. They stand for surveillance, like mass surveillance. They stand for digital ID. So Labour are, of course, completely fucking insane. And yet people don't realise that Reform and Conservatives will want to do the same things. Like, are you kidding me? It's absolutely stupid. And anytime I think a party member or MP or someone of a higher rank in these cases is sympathising for Trump, or in fact getting into bed with him, which we did see Keir Starmer do. Well, not literally, but technically we did. Then that party's already fucking doomed. It goes the same for if we see, for example, the Green Party or Lib Dems going into bed with Trump. That means that party is doomed. Because everything Trump stands for is complete fucking, like, what is the term? Like fascism, definitely. But there's probably more to that. Because obviously he's an oligarch. It stands for monarchy and inequality. There's all sorts of things wrong here. And the only time I could ever accept someone meeting with Trump is to fucking tell him off. To tell him, no, you can't do this. And Trump will be like, you know what, you UK guys, I can't do a Trump impression. You guys are alright, you're the best guys. I know, I was there. And I'm gonna go to war with you over this. It's like, okay, great. But that's probably the best outcome, to be honest. Who fucking gives a shit at that point? Like, the US has a common enemy, and even the US people agree that this is an enemy. We're talking about Trump. So that's really why there is no consequence to calling out Trump and calling it for what it is, essentially. He's a predator, I call it predatancy because he preys upon vulnerable people, and that's what he does. Yeah, he takes like bribes on the rich and stuff. It's all fucked up. And it's a case where even before his re-election, we knew that he was going to fuck it up badly because people didn't listen. They didn't listen to the warnings about what Trump stood for and what MAGA stood for, actually. Weirdly enough, my knowledge on US politics at that time was even more limited than it is now. And we warned people, and suddenly, even with the consequence of life and death, which very much is happening, by the way, people chose the side of death. So, yeah, not surprising. The problem is the UK is going to repeat that if nothing is done. And this is why I think we need to start pushing a narrative that we need to call out people who are calling out parties who are doing the right thing. And basically I see comments all the time on posts from like the Green Party, even Lib Dems, but even though they're not that relevant anymore, it doesn't really matter. You see all this sort of shit about them, and some of the people up there, Final Fantasy 14. Interesting. Anyway, it's like, there's this weirdness with, what was I saying? Yeah, with people in the comment sections, and it almost sounds like bot behaviour because it's all the same shit. Look at the criticisms of the Green Party. And I will let this fair after, trust me. People calling out Zach Blatant specifically for some reason, not the actual policies, but Zach specifically saying that, okay, he's anti-nuclear, like, regardless of where you stand on that, it doesn't matter, because it's more important we address our own problems first. But they're calling out for things from years ago, like the past, which ironically is where people are certainly, like, every accusation is confession, basically, which is ironic. It's always the fucking case with this sort of thing. Yeah, they're calling out Zach for the hypnotisation thing when he was a stage actor, I think it was. I think it's what he said. Yeah, there's hypnotherapy thing where he apparently hypnotised women to think that their boobs were bigger. Like, I don't fucking care. That doesn't matter to me. I don't believe in hypnotherapy, but Jesus Christ. Like, why is that such a big deal to you? Like, to me, it makes me think that you're as guilty as Zach is. Meaning you've done something worse. That's all this says to me. That's all I see when I see these sort of comments that are trying to, it's a term, debase, I can't remember, deface. I don't know, but they're trying to destroy the reputation of someone. And that's all I see in these comments. It's like, hypnotherapy, big boobs, fucking Joker. It turns out they're filling kids all the time. These comments, like, fucking hell. Yeah, it's all sorts of bullshit, but there are other comments as well, like people thinking that his missing tooth is a problem for being in Prime Minister state. Like, what? Like, when the fuck has teeth even become relevant to intelligence? Like, what the hell? That makes no sense. And there's other comments as well, like, I'm pretty sure there are people talking about his sexuality as well, which is also very bizarre because I'm pretty sure even Conservatives stand for sexuality. Like, just weird, like Zach's gay, and people are calling that out. Ironic, isn't it? And find out that the commentator is on Miranda. Are you fucking kidding me? So that's that sort of thing, and all this really says, and also there's like anti-nuclear stuff, I remember that. People calling that out. Or was I? I can't remember if I was talking about that. But people just keep saying this shit and not providing much information. I've even seen people say that Zach is a liar. Like, based on what? Like, you can't call people a liar without calling out the lie itself. So this doesn't make any sense. And this is why I think it is literally life and death politics. Because you've got resources of information in a political party like Greens, and then disinformation and misinformation in a party like Reform. And one way to flip the narrative, say that Reform were acting more like the Greens and the Greens were acting more like Reform, I'd go with Reform. But it's not to do with the fucking identity of political parties necessarily. It's to do with the policies and how hard they're pushing it. And that really goes to show the inherent bias people have, because I guarantee you, if Reform started saying things that the Greens are saying, and Labour are starting to say as well, just to fucking get back at Zach, which is weird, but they're doing that to gain votes, essentially. And it will fail if they don't keep pushing it. But people who are already with Reform will either go one or two ways. I think, okay, my policy's probably right, so let's go with them. But on the other hand, they'll probably go, oh, you know what, I don't believe this, so they're not actually going to side with them. So you've got a big problem there. Because people are obviously siding with one side of the coin and not looking at the bigger picture. Which is where it really counts. And this is the problem with focusing in on the mini issues, which I'll go into after this. With Reform, I see people saying the voters, it's usually about the voters, but I've seen things about Nigel Farage as well. About him misleading people, which is fair enough. Yeah, it sort of goes both ways in terms of call outs and stuff, and even an accusation is a confession, let's be honest. They're probably an equal amount of, maybe not equal, but probably far less than the amount of Reform voters there are calling out Reform for something. So, yeah. But I think the thing I really wanted to touch on here was the existence of the mistakes issue. And when we talk about mistakes, I'm talking about if a policy is doing a few things wrong compared to a bunch of things wrong, what the hell is your fucking major malfunction? Literally. Because I genuinely cannot comprehend why anyone would vote Reform, why anyone would vote Conservatives, let alone Labour. That just confuses me. Because when you look at it in all its glory, what it actually stands for, what it actually does, you realise that comparing the two parties, nobody benefits from Reform. Literally nobody, not even the people who are anti-immigrant. So we have this problem where one party is very obviously not standing with the people, but somehow is recruiting them. Basically recruiting idiots and gullible people. And we should also call out for what it is. It's sort of brainwashing, I guess. Even though they're not smart enough to do that. It's still Reform. But you look at the policies that each are pushing, where the Greens want equality in the economy, Reform want inequality, and that means that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So you have to understand that despite the anti-immigration topic, which they said they will address, and they haven't actually addressed it properly, by the way, because you can't actually deport all of them. It's impossible. Costs too much tax on the climate as well. You know, realise that it doesn't add up. There's so many holes in the logic, and there's so many mistakes here, which is the big point of this, that it is literally leading to death. You know, it's death of either politics, it's death of either people, it could be the death of an entire country. And for all we know, this could actually cause a disaster. It could cause the climate to warm up. It could cause wildfires to suddenly come out in the UK. And having lived somewhere before where I'm surrounded by greenery, it's just baffling because I have no way to actually get out of that situation. So were there a wildfire, I'm literally screwed. And given that our entire countryside is fucking greenery, it really does diminish what little good we have in this country. And the countryside is one of the most beautiful things about this country, if it had anything beautiful to begin with. But it's unfortunately not, because you get so many fucking people that are just ruining the place, like the anti-immigrants, like the reform voters. And once again, it goes back to this issue of, okay, let's look at the mistakes that both parties are doing. Okay, maybe you can criticise Greens about the nuclear policy and even NATO. I think, at least for the nuclear thing, I'm a bit mixed on it, because I think I understand the argument that it ruins the planet, but I don't understand the argument that it, what was I going to say? A bit difficult ADHD moment. Yeah, as a deterrent as well, I'm not sure entirely if I agree or disagree with it. And that's mainly because it can act as a deterrent, but if the world is fucked anyway, might as well get some karma. Yeah, might as well speed it up, I guess, so people don't have to suffer, but either way. But the other thing is to do with NATO, and I do not fucking like the fact that the Greens want to leave NATO, for example. I think that's really stupid, because even though you may disagree with a lot of the parties in that, and the corruption that probably happens as well, in this current climate, we cannot risk that sort of shit. And that's just undeniable. But is it the biggest problem, as with the nuclear stuff? No. Our biggest problem at the moment is inequality. And if people remain unhappy, which a lot of reform voters are, so I'm calling on you specifically, reform voters, you need to listen to what the Greens are saying, because they have the answer to your problem, to your many problems as well. And one of the stories that actually kind of stuck with me is when Zach Polanski went to the Green conference and spoke. One of his opening lines, I think, was talking about how he had just been to I think it was a restaurant or a kitchen or something, where the guy had just been released from prison, and he didn't know what to do with his life. I can't remember what the rest of it was actually, but I'm pretty sure Zach was on the side of, okay, let's support people in finding a job and getting a proper life even after prison. So it is in the interest of reform voters, believe it or not. So that's the weird thing about this. It can't be ignored, and he speaks to a lot of people on many different levels. And that's the thing people need to realise, because you may not agree with hypnotherapy. No, I don't. You may not agree with nuclear weapons. Again, I'm mixed. And most of us definitely don't agree with leaving NATO. That's a given. But you have to understand that compared to what Reform are doing, where, yeah, they may be pro-nuclear, they may be pro-staying in NATO, and also not doing hypnotherapy, you have to understand that every other thing that they do compared to Greens is not good. If you look at, basically think of it like a red light, green light sort of thing. Like, what's the most that can benefit us, with green obviously being good and red being bad? It's just a way to simplify it, because for some reason people need that, even if they're in their late 40s. So for Reform, you look at all their different policies, and you've got a bunch of red lights on immigration, red light on deportation, red light on asylum seeking, again, I read like disability benefits and stuff, like, or separately, like 2 red lights. Like, it's obviously such a bad thing, especially if you read into it, and I guarantee most people who are voting reform have not read into it. You know, I've got to try and make a list of comments so I can reply to reform comments at this point, because it's sort of needed to call them out. But everywhere you fucking look in reform, it is a red light. You got racists there, you got so many different problems. Like the policy itself is in shambles, and people are ignoring that for some reason. So there's more red lights, and I might as well call them red flags actually. That's probably a better term. Just thinking red light, green light is like a familiar thing. If you look at the greens, then you see on a lot of things, it's often a green flag, because they are doing the right thing with it. On immigration, they'll address it as it should be. They'll treat the people with respect. I think they'll deport the people who are obviously coming here illegally, but also investigate them to see if they actually qualify before asylum. So they already tackle those issues, I'm pretty sure. Again, I could be wrong. Then you look at things like disability and benefits, where it does seem quite obvious as a result of taxing the wealth, which is another green flag, they will help with disability and benefits. Again, more green flags. And look at the party state, from at least from what I know of it, the people in that party who are obviously following Zach's leadership, again a green flag. So it's about piling up these lists of reasons and list of topics that these parties share, not necessarily in common, but are addressing, and then assigning it is this good for us or isn't it good for us? Because I guarantee you, Greens, no matter what side you're on, if you're reform, if you're conservative, hell, even if you're fascist, Greens will probably even have the most green flags, because at the end of the day, it provides the most benefit to people, most benefits. Because they're not actively trying to destroy society, they're not trying to divide us, they're trying to bring us together and bring hope to the country. And as I said, because the big focus of reform at the moment is immigration, look at what the Greens are going to do with immigration, and try to justify what reform are doing. Because I genuinely can't understand how people can justify what reform will do. It's going to cause a massive economic gap, because people are not going to work, because that's what immigrants are here to, not necessarily to do, but are doing, because they have to. And suddenly nobody's going to work, nobody's providing food or drink or anything for us, and that's because we kicked out all the migrants. Whereas the Greens will get more British people into work and provide support for migrants to get into work as well, but probably a higher quality of life. That way they're getting proper jobs, and they're not working the crappy jobs that nobody else wants to work. So again, it is life and death politics. You know, if you vote reform, you're on the side of death, because you don't actually care about people. You want people to suffer and you want people to die. That's objectively so. Again, looking at the red flags and the green flags. There's too many red flags in reform, and I can't even think of a single green flag that reform have ever presented. And even like the television appearances, even like corruption, every time I see reform, it's red flag after red flag. And I've never seen a good thing to say, where if there were, I'd make a hypothetical, I'd say it. I'd say there's a green flag there. But let's use the interview where they talked about people on disability and mental health getting benefits and not working. If I was a reform counsellor there, and I did actually care for people with mental health issues who aren't working, I wouldn't say what that guy said, where he's just dismissing and saying they should go to work. I'd say, okay, we hear your concerns. We'll look into getting the proper benefits and workplace arrangements for people with disabilities and mental health issues. Massive win, massive green flag. But here's the catch though. That doesn't mean it's overall good. Because that's where we have a lot of the problems here. Where people are looking for one mistake to dismiss an entire party, which is childish by the way. That's what people are doing to the Greens from reform. You see that it could just as easily be applied on the opposite end. The main thing is you have to look at the bigger picture. And when I say bigger picture, I don't mean the fucking one pixel that people are staring at consistently when they're criticising Green Party, and sometimes even people on the left criticising reform. I'm talking about the fucking 4K picture, the thousands and millions of pixels that come along with it. And yeah, you can't understand it all. I can't. Nobody can, no matter how intelligent they are. You can at least look at the things that you're familiar with and decide from there. And to be honest, that's probably my best political advice anyway, even if you're apolitical, like I technically was. You look at all the things that they do right and you're familiar with and decide from there. Where if you did that with the party like Reform and you realise like, oh, they're all against me, yeah, you'll be fucking shitting yourself. Especially if you just voted them. But you know, welcome to the UK. This is probably one of the biggest we told you so's there's going to ever be. And it just wouldn't surprise me if they tried to demolish the entire democratic system of voting and equality in that sense. It just wouldn't surprise me. And it's pretty much Donald Trump 2.0 at this point. That's what reform is, and if you can't admit to that, then you're a fucking idiot. Frankly, you deserve to rot in that hellscape. Yeah, it's not my words, it's the actual truth. Because that's actually what's going to happen. Again, life and death politics. So, anyway, I've talked enough about that. It's been a while since I've talked about politics. I think I might do an outro for this actually. I noticed it's gone on for a while. There's quite a few topics I talked about in this podcast. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's all.